Oh, the web.
Greetings. Oh, sorry. My
Oh, the
bad.
web.
Go ahead.
All right. Oh,
From
the
the
web.
top. Oh my god.
We good now?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Let's review
Let's review.
season 5.
Let's review.
Wow.
Just what? What? Come on, man. What is this? The Pixar outtakes? What are you doing to me here?
Yeah, sure. It's the Pixar
God.
outtakes. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was the worst one we've done.
Yes.
Uh,
God.
you want to just do like a clean take two? Because honestly, the reason why that was so bad was that I was just fumbling all over myself because of how bad that intro was. So clean take two.
All right.
All right, Christmas in July. Like, just picture Mike Wazowski as the director of photography. All right, take two, everybody. Take two.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Bum.
Bum.
Still
Man,
got
we
it
really
wrong.
have to. I know we really have to go over that. Like where do I not say let's review? Do I just go into season
You
five?
say season 5, then we do the let's review. Let's review.
Okay, okay, oh man, oh god, all right.
You know what's funny? You made the same mistake when we did the last pitch. I don't know what it is with you when we do these
With the
pitches.
pitches, I know, and the pitch was a big one because that was the one where we had like 12 people watching.
It's not like this is the penultimate episode or anything, so.
Right, so
Anyway.
Incredibles. I tried, folks. I tried. So Incredibles pitches, Dragon. Here we are. This is the penultimate pitch. And Dragon, I gotta say, I'm very pleased with my pitch. There was one thing I really wanted to work in, which was kind of like an Imagineering sort of hot take that we'll get into. I kind of worked in something into the Incredibles universe that I think you'll be excited about, and you'll know what when we get into it. I have a really good villain, and Dragon, just to kind of sell my pitch, of course, we're just going to jump right into my pitch, and then you can kind of build up your pitch. We'll go act by act. To get into my pitch, what I really wanted to do here, Dragon, is I really wanted to take superhero stuff that hasn't been done in the Incredibles universe before and include it into the Incredibles universe. That was my goal here. So, importantly, we have a Tony Stark type character and we have a Doctor Strange type character. I'm integrating kind of like the superhero based on technology and then the superhero based on magic. So that was kind of my goal, Dragon. I kind of want to expand on the Incredibles mythology. And then I guess in terms of the Christmas stuff, I got to admit, Dragon, with this special for me, maybe this was where you were having a hard time too. But for me, like, I definitely do have Christmas in here, but it's definitely in the background compared to the character building, the universe building, and the action. Because I got to say, like, I was really inspired by Mission Impossible Fallout. Honestly, one of the best action movies of the decade, if I'm being honest. To really go all in with the action this time around, Dragon. So my pitch might go by relatively fast because I have some really good action set pieces in mind. All right.
All right. Oh, before we go any further, just apologies for that botched opening to Nate Productions, who's watching us, and he wants us to dazzle him, so I think we let him down a little. So apologies, Nate Productions.
Yes, that was very disappointing on all our ends. Mostly
Trust me,
mine.
the opening usually goes a lot smoother than that, but you were there at the other live stream, so I think like, again, we're still missing a piece. But anyway, we're going to go strong with Incredibles, which of course, folks, is for full disclaimer. Every year, traditionally, we do a pitch for a TV series that has not had a Christmas special, for a Christmas episode. Then we do a Christmas special based on a popular movie.
Yes,
Incredibles, because of all the Incredibles 2 love we're getting this year. I mean, my God, it's such a great movie. Why not expand upon the good old Incredibles? I mean, come on.
So for this installment, we kind of took homage from the two Toy Story specials we have, being the Toy Story of Terror and the Toy Story That Time Forgot. And those two specials really show that you can do like Pixar quality animation and Pixar quality storytelling in the span of like 30 minutes. And that's kind of like the goal. I think that Toy Story That Time Forgot is 45 minutes, right, Dragon? Something like that.
No, I actually think it does fit within the
Does it?
within the 22 minutes. I believe so.
Okay.
Might go to 25 minutes at most. And that's kind of what we're aiming for here, folks. Believe me, ordinarily I like to do like kind of like a full hour, but then it kind of occurred to us, animation is expensive. And not as expensive, like, again, as we've seen with the Toy Story shorts, and even with something like Olaf's Frozen Adventure, they kind of condense it.
Olaf's Frozen Adventure is something we're going to get to far later into the year, but that's something I'm excited to dissect.
Sure. And by the same token, again, we're kind of aiming for kind of that 22 to 30-minute maximum. Yeah, I can speak for mine just with one bit here, is that I kind of, at the end of the day, we just kind of settled on, we got to go for kind of the half-hour format. I mean, I made it 30 minutes, between 25 and 30 minutes directly, because I'm just going, originally Toy Story was supposed to be a 10-toy half-hour Christmas special. It was going to be a huge momentous thing of turning like a 5-minute animated short to 30 minutes. And of course, if you can do 30, you can do 90, and that's kind of what gave us Toy Story. So I of course, okay, I'll do 30. I'll make it work.
All right. Okay, so my cold open starts, Dragon. Again, I also kind of have some interesting sort of like, much like what we did with Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. I have a couple interesting sort of like non-traditional holiday traditions, if you will. And one of them being, we start with a Christmas parade, Dragon. That's something that, of course, the big thing is that Walt Disney World has a Christmas parade every year that gets televised. And this year we have a Christmas parade on Christmas Eve that all the supers are in attendance for. So we see, we see Mirage, we see, I don't know, help me out here, Dragon. Who are some of the other like B-lister superheroes that we saw in Incredibles 2? I'm sorry, not Mirage. Void. I'm sorry, I'm thinking someone completely different.
Of course, Mirage, played by the wonderful Elizabeth Pena, who is unfortunately no longer with us. But a little shout out to Mirage. Love Mirage. Love. She was good in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like you're thinking like Brick and Brick Void. There are others. I'm going to butcher the names because we had the two foreign guys who were like, the one who could the Crusher. Like Crusher is a hilarious one. I can think of Crusher in the whole. Like, you tried to unpunch somebody. That guy. I think
so we have all those guys, and they're on a float, and then of course the Incredibles themselves are on a float, and also we have foreshadowing, Dragon, at the hot new best-selling item, the big coveted Christmas gift. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
The Elastigirl extendable arms.
Nice, kind of a Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah. Well, what it is it's a Stretch Armstrong, except you're the Armstrong, Dragon. You're the Armstrong. You get basically like two arms, like that. Essentially what it is you kind of like, they're like boxing gloves, but with extendable, like, you get the picture, right? Like you put them on, and then there's
basically, basically what you're saying is it's like Hulk hands, but it's Elastigirl's arms, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and they like retract and like kind of like extend out.
I like it. It's kind of cute. I like it.
All right. Of course, Helen's a little bit uncomfortable with that, especially because like, my God, Bob, if they fight over the Elastigirl expendable arms the same way they fought over something like Tickle Me Elmo's, we're all in a lot of trouble. So let's see. So the parade gets interrupted by the villain, Dragon, and I'm gonna give you approximately one guess as to which guy is playing my villain here. Approximately one guess.
Okay, just tell me. I need to know one thing: male or female?
Male.
Patrick Fabian.
Of course, it's Fabian.
Of course, folks, we are huge fans of Better Call Saul, and probably our favorite character. Honestly, our favorite character, aside from Bob Odenkirk as Jimmy McGill himself, is easily Patrick Fabian as Howard Hamlin, the most enigmatic and fascinating character in Better Call Saul.
All right, so Howard Hamlin is playing You know how TV news stations oftentimes get floats, Dragon, in
Yeah,
parades?
yeah.
Well, he's playing the Weatherman.
The Weatherman.
Yes, that's his villain gimmick.
Are
He's the
let me ask.
Weatherman.
Okay, let me ask you: are you referencing the Weather Wizard like we talked about in the Flash Christmas special with that, or is it just coincidence?
Yeah, I'm kind of referencing that, except like power wise, I'm more going with Doctor Strange, but more so, honestly, Dragon, I'm referencing the like the Kevin Costner Weatherman,
Oh, huh.
which is, I believe, that's a Christmas movie.
It's even deeper. A Better
Yeah,
Call
that's a
Saul.
deep. It's a deep cut. It's a deep
No,
cut.
I'm saying
Yes.
it's even deeper cut if you want to reach the whole Jimmy McGill loves to think of himself as a Kevin Costner lookalike. So anyway, keep going.
All right, so the Weatherman, he wants to. We've got some motivation for him. We've got some tragic backstory for the Weatherman. But before we get to the tragic backstory, essentially what he does is in the middle of fake snow, which Bob kind of hypes up, like, it's just laundry detergent. They pump out laundry detergent. It's no big deal, folks. It's not really snowing. But like I will say, Bob is probably the Scrooge this special.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So you know how they kind of pump out fake snow during certain parades and Disney Christmas stuff. It's that kind of deal. Except instead of fake snow dragon, the weatherman has a forecast, and that forecast comes true. And the forecast is a blizzard, and it's a big blizzard. Oh, also I forgot to mention, Frozone is nowhere to be found, mysteriously enough. We'll get to Frozone
Ah,
later. We'll get to Frozone later.
all right.
So essentially, Dragon, my goal with the Weatherman is he's Doctor Strange. He's essentially Doctor Strange, but with the weather. He can control the weather, and that's kind of his power set. Um, yeah, I have some sort of explanation for it that kind of ties into some pseudoscience, but we'll get into that a little later. Let me see. So this results in all the heroes springing into action and quickly apprehending him. So essentially, what it is, we kind of get like jumping on parade floats. Just a quick action scene to kind of kick things off. He's quickly apprehended, but we'll find out why he's quickly apprehended soon. But it's too late. There's already a giant blizzard that's hit the city. Last minute Christmas shopping is ruined. Everyone's panicked. It's time to call in some professionals and cut to the Incredibles. Da, 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 da. Forecast of the Weatherman.
Would you
Da,
say
da, da.
would you say a forecast of doom?
Sure, why not? Okay, so Dragon, when I say call in the professionals in the Incredibles universe, who do you think I'm talking to? Talking about, I should say.
Well, when you say the professionals, well, I assume the Incredibles themselves when you say professionals, but are you saying the Incredibles are calling these people in, or they're
Yes,
code
I'm
reading?
saying the Incredibles are. It's one person in particular. They're calling this one person in.
Oh, Frozone.
No, actually, we'll get to Frozone. We'll get to Frozone. One
Um,
person who's good. We need to get information out of this guy, Dragon. We need to get information out of this guy.
oh, could it be Edna Mode?
Dicker, come on, man. Dicker, he's the professional. I know he's retired, but he's calling in. It is a Christmas favor.
Well, you gotta establish the status quo on something like that. I'm assuming he's around, but I'm not entirely sure with your pitch there. But I'll tell you this: you get Edna Mode in a room with a guy like I'll be begging for mercy. Like, oh my god, she's so terrifying. Anyway, Rick
All right,
Dicker's
so I'm
called in.
sorry for being so vague on that. We cut to Rick Dicker, and he's like, "You know what, Bob? I've been enjoying my sabbatical in Hawaii. It's been a blast. I even ran into Frozone over there. He's vacationing with his wife. Nice couple. Nice couple." So that's the excuse for Frozone not being there, is that he's
All right.
vacationing in Hawaii. Don't worry, we'll get a little bit more with Frozone in the special. Like I kind of intentionally wrote Frozone out, but at the same time, he does show up and have a couple things to do. So You got to keep in mind for 23 minutes, there's a lot of characters, and some of them just kind of have to take a back seat. And Frozone, unfortunately, was one of them in my schedule. But Rick Dicker is just like, but you're good people, Bob. You're good people. And when you say there's an emergency, well, I believe you. And so we interview Wally Weatherby, our weatherman. So Wally Weatherby is he's a sympathetic, hard on sleeve bad guy who has a tragic backstory. And this is much to Dicker's annoyance. He's like, buddy, look, it's Christmas Eve. I just want to get the story. I want to get out of here. You know how to stop the blizzard. So let's establish something, huh? Let's kind of make something work. And Dragon, I want to point out this whole setup with Weatherby being intentionally captured. It's definitely in line with the superhero cliche these days, especially in modern movies. We saw it with the Joker, we saw it with Loki, we saw it with Khan. The whole intentionally being captured and put into a room with the heroes.
Of course.
So, all right. So Weatherby reveals that the happiest night of his life was when he was newly married with his wife in the middle of a snowstorm, and it was Christmas Eve. And all he wanted to do was replicate that. And he didn't ask to be the weatherman. He was kind of born into the lineage of the weatherman, because you see, Dragon, his father was a very famous celebrity weatherman on TV, and so he kind of had a lineage of being like this celebrity. And his wife kind of loved him for who he was, just kind of like this idealistic, kind of Howard Hamlin-esque guy. You know what I mean? This kind of like head in the cloud kind of guy. But unfortunately, being a celebrity newsman kind of hit a stress on him, and his marriage kind of hit a wax with that. But like I said, he has this one memory that he wants to emulate of the blizzard, and he's kind of trying to bring back kind of like the ultimate sort of like, sort of gesture of like coming upon the Scorn Girl's house with the boombox and like playing the favorite song. Except in this case, it's like, it's very misguided, but it's like, hey, remember that night with the blizzard? We have to replicate that because I'm desperate. Also, Dragon, he was given the weatherman powers via the forecast cube. And the forecast cube was cast down to him in a. This is kind of ridiculous. This is kind of ridiculous. All right, I'm not gonna lie. This is ridiculous. It was cast down to him by a Shazam-style wizard named Fahrenheit, who's played by Taika Waititi in a brief cameo.
Huh.
So basically, he's like leaving the subway, like on, and he's being hounded by celebrities, and he's like, and Taika Waititi, and it's basically in Pixar style where he's really, he kind of looks much in the same way where Bob Odenkirk looks like Bob Odenkirk in The Incredibles. It's very much Taika Waititi, except in a wizard robe, and he's just like, "Hey man, you want this cube? You're the weatherman, right? Well, this will make all your forecasts come true, man." And so yeah, that's and with that he had kind of this plan to control the weather, to make the blizzard, to potentially reclaim some lost memories with his wife, and also go off the deep end with I know it's an elaborate backstory, Dragon, but it's all the Denver backstory is also elaborate. So I feel like I'm not explaining it right. I feel like you're just not getting it.
I don't know. I think I'm following it. Essentially, evil weatherman, but he has a heart of gold. He just wants to make it snow.
His motivation is good, but unfortunately, in causing the blizzard, it's kind of putting everyone else at peril. And so they're trying to get him to stop the blizzard, but he's sort of giving everyone the silent treatment.
All right.
Except for portraying his backstory. And then we get a gag where Bob's like, well, we got to call Frozone on this, right? He's an expert on cold weather. And Dicker, because keep in mind, Dicker was in Hawaii and he met up with Frozone and Honey. Dicker's like, you're not going to want to do that, Bob. He's been planning this vacation for a long time. He's not going to be happy to hear from you. And so we cut to Frozone, and he's very annoyed. He's got a Christmas hat on. And keep in mind, due to the time zone change, this is Hawaii. This is Christmas Eve. In Hawaii, it's actually Christmas Day. So him and Honey are celebrating, and of course, Honey's off screen. And Frozone, he's a little drunk on eggnog, and he's like, Bob, don't even think about calling me over there. What do you want me to do? Fight a blizzard with more ice, Bob? With more ice? Is that the solution you want right here, Bob? He's obviously very annoying. And we get a sweet moment with Honey off screen where Honey's like, don't even think about going and doing some hero business. And Frozone's like, you know what, baby? For once in your life, I'm on your side. And then Honey off screen is like, I love you, sugar. I love you too, doll. I ain't gonna let nobody ruin this vacation. All right. Okay, so then Rick proposes, you're not going to like this, Bob, but we need to call in someone else. Now, he's a rookie, if you will. He's kind of a young guy, but he's smart, and I think he can get a handle on this whole forecast cube nonsense. If anyone's the guy, it's this guy. And we also get a quick gag where Dicker and Winston comes in, because technically this is all taking place off the books at the Dever residence, at the Dever office. DevTech. Yes. Thank you. And Winston comes in, and we get kind of a cute little, like, oh my God, you're the Rick Dicker. Like, basically, we get kind of a quick shout out, like, yeah, I kind of know you from Better Call Saul. You're a good kid.
Tiki, two things.
What?
One, just for the Frozone scene that you laid out, which I really did like. Just one thing you got to add to the dialogue to make that perfect. If you just have Frozone just kind of call out to Bob that, Bob, in the many years that we've known each other, when have I ever controlled the weather?
Exactly. That's kind of the point.
Ice.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, Dragon. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't fight a blizzard with ice, Bob. It's just not logical.
What am I going to do? Make a big bowl for the ice?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Dragon.
Also, secondly, this is just you might want to massage this head here that Rick Dicker trained Winston, so they know each other already.
Shit. You're right. Okay, well, you know what? I'll massage that out, and I just want them to have a Better Call Saul like Jimmy and.
I know. I have the same thing in mind.
Okay. So just insert that in here. Moving on. All right.
All right, keep going. The point is they know each other, and the point is Winston has a kind of like a hero crush on Rick Dicker. Like, exactly, oh, my mentor.
Exactly.
Oh, my beloved Mike Ehrmantraut. Like, ho, 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 Rick Dicker, welcome.
Okay, so meanwhile...
Your dreams will come true! I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, God. So meanwhile, back at the Incredibles house, cross off another cliche, the kids are having a Chinese dinner.
Okay.
And guess who else is in the house, Dragon?
Edna.
Hooray! Yeah. So Edna's kind of integrating herself as part of the family. She's kind of Jack's permanent babysitter at this point. It's early on in the evening, so they're kind of planning an outing as a family. And keep in mind, this is kind of like really, Edna's reluctant about being included in the family, but she's also kind of like heartwarmed by it too. It's like, you think I am your family? Like, well, sure, Edna, we've only known you our whole lives. But anyway, so they're arguing over what to do. Dash wants to go to the local pier to see the Festival of the Lights, which is just kind of like a boardwalk with a whole bunch of Christmas lights. And then Violet wants to go see the acapella snowman concert. I don't know. I some sort of weird Christmas themed boy band. I came up with acapella snowmen. It's not my finest hour. But a news report says that the snowman, the acapella concert has been canceled due to weather. And So Edna's like, well, I guess that breaks the tie.
Wait a minute, I have a better name for the snowman group.
Oh God. Okay.
Boys the Snowmen.
Boys to snowmen. Yes, yes. Okay,
Yeah, with
so Dragon, just to kind of tease out my act two. Edna, Jack, Violet, and Dash are headed for a boardwalk, which happens to have a roller coaster. Catch my drift?
yeah, I get, but it's just your act one ends where, Tiki? So
No, no,
Edna's
no.
like,
My act one ends at the next scene, but this is the last time we see these characters before.
okay, so they're heading to a pier. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, and there's going to be a roller coaster involved. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
Jack's going to be involved. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I think you catch my drift.
I think I do.
All right, all right. Okay, so we're introducing another new character played by the one and only, the incomparable Jesse Eisenberg himself, who's basically playing a comedic version of his Mark Zuckerberg character.
Oh, I'm sure.
What?
Sorry. Keep going.
In the form of Timothy Turnblad, who's kind of like a wannabe Iron Man.
Timothy Turnblad. I've heard that name before.
Have you
Turnblad.
really?
I've heard Turnblad somewhere. God,
I was trying to come up with like TT names because I think Wallace Weatherby came to me really.
Oh, that's a good one. I really like. It's a good name. I like Wallace Weatherby. It's not bad.
Turnblad. It's Tracy Turnblad from Hairspray.
Yes, that's where I know that. Yes. Yeah, that's.
I'll just give me a pass on this one. All right.
All right.
I was just trying to go with a good TT name.
I'm sure people are going to go nuts for, oh my God, it's Jesse Eisenberg in a superhero property. Remember last time that? Oh.
Well, that's the thing, Drake. We're going to redeem him because it's like he's going to be kind of like an anti-hero. He's going to be kind of like a rival for Bob, where he's a much younger guy. And where Bob is brute strength, he's very much built on technology. And we get that back and forth dynamic right away with Bob. You know, that's very much a big push with the episode. And then it's revealed that he's also the inventor of the Elastigirl expendable arm.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And that's how he got his fortune. And right. So he's a very recent tech billionaire. He's very invested in superhero technology, including the Elastigirl Incredible Arms. And the Elastigirl Incredible Arms is essentially a cross between a toy and an Iron Man style tech, and we'll see that come into play later. Okay, so anyways, they kind of introduced the weather cube to him. Of course, Patrick Fabian, he's kind of doing a ridiculous kind of like okay, I'm going to recycle this gag from the Goldbergs that we get I'm sorry, not the Goldbergs, All in the Family, where the gag where Edith locks her mouth shut and then swallows the key.
Tickle lock.
Yeah. Well, the Fabian character does it. He's like, I'm not talking.
Right.
So Turnblad, he tinkers with the cube, and of course the blizzard gets much worse, which results in the end of Act 1.
Okay.
All right. So Dragon, do you want to set yours up?
Yeah, sure. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I'll say this: out of all the acts, I'm most ironclad on Act 1. Act 1, I have no reservation. I'm most proud of Act 1.
Act 2 is probably my shiny moment because that's where the Incredicoaster comes into play.
Basically, I'm going to be sweating. I'm very regretful in sweating of Act 3.
God.
And I will look. I mean, Act 3 was the thing. Just as been ending my mind. Basically, folks, I had Act 1 like on day 1 when I was coming up with the Incredibles bit. Like, that was figured out. I knew the very end of Act 3, and I knew like a few bits of Act 2, and then basically I guess in the week or so leading up to this, basically as long as we've been doing Christmas in July, I've been and kind of flirting around with the idea, and of course came into fruition, I guess, the week of. And I got to tell you, Act 3 still was just the anomaly. I'm still not sure about, but I'll say this though. I mean, again, I think yours. I don't know. Yours is kind of having the X factor. I kind of wish I had in mine. I'll say that much. Yours is going to have some stuff I really like.
Okay, okay.
But I guess just overall for mine, each act has a theme. Like Act One is kind of the classic kind of Incredibles whammo blammo action, to quote Brad Bird. It's very much kind of like classic. Basically, all of your Incredibles wishes are kind of fulfilled in Act One. Just for clarity, and this will be more apparent as we get to like Act Three. But as we get to Act Three, I had more elaborate plans. I had to trim a lot of stuff. That's why Act Three is just kind of a little here and there. Because again, so oddly enough, Tiki, I did have Patrick Fabian as my villain too initially.
Okay, come on. I think at this point, us using Patrick Fabian as a villain is kind of a crutch.
No. Here's the thing. Here's what happened. So originally, I was going to use Patrick Fabian as the bad guy because I mean, of course, we have to. But what happened was that again, I kept saying no, it's going to go over time. And basically, I was adding too much. I was doing too much of it. I was trying to strike a balance between Christmas Special and Incredibles 3. And I don't want to do Incredibles 3. I want to do a Christmas Special. And again, I was setting up like a villain who sounds more like fodder for Incredibles 3 with Patrick Fabian. I was like, yeah, I want that, but I can't put that here. So I kind of had to cut him and rework him in there somewhere else. So he's not exactly a villain, but he's in there. So.
Yeah.
He's not in Act One, but originally he was going to be. He was going to be like a big, awesome kind of setup villain, working with the other kind of somewhat main villain. So, like I was all over the place searching for a villain. I got to tell you, your Weatherman idea sounds great, and I kind of wish I could have put that in there, but no, it's I'm still we'll see.
You like the Doctor Strange quality to my villain because that's the thing I was kind of skeptical about.
I mean, I'm open to it. I like it.
Okay.
I'm liking a lot of stuff in your Act One there. So like I studied Olaf's again, basically striking that balance of not going too movie length. Basically, I don't want to like blow the effects budget on movie like stuff in 25 minutes to 30 minutes. So I kind of studied Olaf's Frozen Adventure, the Toy Story specials, to get a grasp on the budget and the restraint it takes. So again, stuff had to come out, but I just hope it all kind of ties together there. So again, that's it in the whole. And I don't have very bit of dialogue worked out here, but I think I got really good action and plot points kind of figured out here. So, all right, Act One. All right, folks. Here's Act One. So, Act One, we build up the Incredibles. Dun-dun. You see the logo as we do every time with the Incredibles. Dun-dun, dun, dun-dun. And basically build to like an epic reveal of, oh my God, folks, you don't have to wait roughly 5 years for the next taste of Incredibles. It's coming. The Giacchino's theme, and then we show the Incredibles in their civilian identities, just waiting in a long line.
Okay.
And so, folks, I try to honor what I love. I try to honor what I love about the Incredibles and what Brad Bird has done with the Incredibles. With
There's definitely some dramatic domestic stuff that goes on in my Act 3 with the Weatherman that I'm kind of proud of with his wife. Some really dramatic stuff there. So,
well, honestly, I try to give each act kind of a different flair, and we'll see how well that goes for me. But yeah, I mean, I just try to honor the Brad Bird credo for the Incredibles, which is the fantastic and the mundane, or the mundane and the fantastic. Just trying to strike that balance. That's kind of what each act is going to go for. Okay, so Act One. So again, that's our big entrance, like da 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 da, and they're waiting in line. Very crowded. It's a. You got to remember, The Incredibles is kind of like a pseudo futuristic '60s setting. So we might not be at kind of the malls that we're used to, kind of circa the '80s onward. But let's just say. It's a very kind of futuristic department store. It's like a proto mall essentially. That's kind of where they're at right now. Basically, you have department stores instead of kind of the big malls that we're used to now. So it's kind of a cool kind of Art Deco giant department store. That's essentially it's an old school '60s mall essentially. That's where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in line waiting to see Santa. And again, one of the main plot lines we got going on here is basically the Helen side of things primarily is baby's first Christmas for Jack Jack. That's the main story we go with. That's kind of the main half of the story we go with here. So Act One primarily is baby's first Christmas with Jack Jack and Jack Jack. He's he's very excited to see Santa. Traditionally you have kids and babies that are terrified of Santa when they meet him. And Jack Jack, my logic is that Jack Jack just sees a guy in a cool costume. He figures it's another superhero like his parents and like his
That's a
brother.
nice connection. It's funny, Dragon. I was kind of trying to make the connection of like, because I think we joked about earlier in Christmas in July, or it might have been Harley Quinn and the Joker, that pitch where, hey, what if Marvel just worked in Santa Claus into the MCU? So I kind of was trying. I was kind of playing around with that idea there, Dragon. So I'm glad you at least make the connection between Santa and superheroes.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, logically, if you were the baby of a superhero, you would just see Santa Claus as another super guy. I mean, you're super speed, like mass consumption, basically like the Flash. He has to eat a lot to maintain metabolism and such. Anyway, the point is, Jack Jack's all excited to see Santa Claus. It's his first, Christmas, at least the first conscious Christmas. Like the year goes by, and now like Jack Jack's roughly a year old, so it's like the first Christmas that he's aware of. Then the rest of the Incredibles, like Bob's wearing a Christmas sweater, like a classic dad Christmas sweater. It's kind of funny. Bob, he's ranting like again, very classic, kind of again try to capture the mundane here. It's like classic father's thing here, where Bob's just kind of ranting about, oh, look at this long line here. Is like, why are we not moving? We're just kind of ranting. And we see the holiday chaos again. The idea is like this is set during the week of Christmas. Like maybe it's not Christmas Eve, but maybe it's like December 22nd or 23rd. Like it's really close,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a day or two goes by. I haven't quite. It's the Christmas Eve's like maybe 2 days away. So anyway, so they're in line. Bob's kind of ranting about line, but it's like they're all there. And Violet, of course, I love me some Violet, especially after Incredibles 2. I always had a fondness for Violet. Tiki was far more the Violet fan, but after Incredibles 2, I just kind of realized, like, oh my God, Violet is such a fascinating character.
Yeah, I have a huge soft spot for Violet for sure.
I mean, Violet's cool, and she honestly every time I rewatch The Incredibles, when I rewatch The Incredibles 2, it kind of dawned me like, oh my God, she's stealing the movie from me. All my favorite lines are Violet lines in The Incredibles 2. Anyway, so Violet, I gave her, so she's the other storyline in this whole grand thing. So it's Jack Jack's first Christmas, and Violet is kind of the other. Violet and Bob have a story here. So Violet is trying to break some news to Bob. And right before, it's like she's about to, she's very kind of sheepishly, very just kind of like, that deadpan Violet thing we all love about her, kind of the, she's very kind of placid teen, just kind of very much like, yeah, how's it going? Just very kind of nonchalant. She's about to break some news to Bob, and just as she's about to, Lucius drops by, like, hey, guys. Oh, hey, Lucius. And Lucius just like making some small talk that he's going Christmas shopping. And let's see, so again, it's basically Lucius interrupted Violet. That's gonna come back. So again, now as like so Violet's right after Lucius says hi, he's going off to do some shopping. As that's happening, Violet's just about again to tell Bob, "Hey, Dad, I got something to tell you." He says, "Oh yeah, sure, Violet. What is it?" And of course, big interruption. Armed men with duffel bags run through the giant department store mall. They're basically doing a lot, like a multiple smash and grabs from all the bustling department stores and such. Like jewelry counters. Basically robbing the registers, all sorts of stuff. Toy, old toy department, everything. They're robbing stuff. They're putting like all these duffel bags, and these are big duffel bags filled with extra stuff. Anyway, so multiple smash and grabs. I don't know. I didn't quite figure the numbers on this. Let's say roughly between 5 and 6 guys in total, most likely. Maybe 5, and there's like 2 more in a truck out back. So point is, not a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So multiple smash and grabs. It's chaos, and of course, Brad Bird. As again, I hesitated on this, but I reached kind of a happy medium here because, of course, we've had gunfire in the first Incredibles, and there was a huge plot point with gunfire in the second one. So Brad Bird's not afraid to swing for the fences. So again, this is it's kind of a department store, like kind of the recognizable mall of today. So it's kind of walking the line here. So gunfire and like a lot of chaos here. And yes, folks, in case you're wondering. Even though we haven't seen the footage, I've only seen like 5 seconds of footage. It is very much inspired from the Wonder Woman 2 footage because I'm so excited for that movie. And again, it kind of inspired me because hey, it's the holidays. You're gonna be in a mall anyway. Might as well. So the point is, all this chaos is going on while they're doing kind of a little family outing. While they're in line to see Santa Claus, and all this chaos and gunfire, and people are panicking, which leads to kind of this great seasonal version of the end of both Incredibles movies, where like they're looking at each other, dun, 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 and of course Violet's like, no, I had stuff to tell him. She goes, yep. And of course, like
I'm loving
Yeah,
your subversions of like the classic Incredibles tropes.
of course, like you have this great image of Bob like he runs into a corner almost Christopher Reeve style, and he removes the Christmas sweater over and revealing the Mr. Incredible logo underneath. Okay, so now here's the whammo blammo action sequence. You ready for this? This is going to go by fast, but it's going to be awesome. This is all the okay. So here's what everybody's doing. Okay, so everyone's getting changed. It's kind of chaos and revealing what our characters are doing. So right off the bat, you got to remember, Violet and Dash have been Violet, Dash, and a little bit Jack. They've been months have gone by since Incredibles 2. Supers are legal now. So again, supers are a regular thing, and we're gonna touch on kind of the status quo change here momentarily. But the point is, they've been trained, so they're in the field now. Again, they're not fully like they haven't picked out names or anything yet, but they're in the field more, so they're experienced now. So Violet, she's saving people right off the bat. She uses like these force fields to absorb bullets that would have taken civilians. She's creating these force fields and kind of bouncing some guys back. Not bullets, like just kind of pushing guys against the wall. So she shields people as Dash. Again, there's a little teamwork going on here. So as Violet creates these shields to kind of shield people from gunfire, Dash, he basically does this kind of this almost best way I can describe is like a Slender Man vanishing act here. Or almost like a super fast bird, like he's on your left and you blink and he's on your right, left, right, as like this gunman's like trying to aim his gun. It's like Dash keeps going left and right, like in the blink of an eye, and then he just sees what he's gone, and then like Dash taps him on the shoulder, he turns around, and then bam, punch right in the face. The guy's knocked out. Jack, again in the chaos, Jack for a moment, like he's not left alone, but like while Helen's like kind of changing everything, Jack he sees Santa. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this before. The Santa Claus, who's like being kind of idolized in Jack's eyes, was voiced by Bryan Cranston. So yet again, we have Bryan Cranston in a Christmas costume, in a Santa suit. Of course, that's kind of a fun tradition. We've had it in Matlock, we've had it in Twas the Night, we've had even in Breaking Bad, folks. So again, it's like yet another Breaking Bad alumni, and it's Cranston in a Santa suit in a very small cameo. Like if you recognize it, it's like, oh, that's Bryan Cranston. So. Anyway, so again, he sees like poor Cranston Claus, running away in the chaos, just scared and everything. So basically, Santa Claus is kind of his new idol, is kind of run away. And it's like, so Jack, he has a meltdown. He's a temper tantrum in the place. So he's starting to his powers are kind of going haywire. Like it's like eye beams are kind of freaking some of the freaking people out. Then he kind of turns a demon, kind of turns on fire for a bit. Some of the gunmen really run away, like, oh my god! So basically, he's taking out his tantrum on the bad guys, which is hilarious. And they're freaking out. They're running away. Like Jack in the demon baby form. He jumps on one of them. He's just like again, kind of syndrome says like shaking the guy, and he's just like bashing his head against the ground, like vibrate, like It's just like terrifying. It's like Gremlins essentially. Again, a little mini Christmas. Basically, he attacks him like he's a gremlin, very much like kind of the Gremlins movie, which is set around Christmas time.
Oh, sure.
Let's see. So again, as all this is starting out, our bad guys then reach into their duffel bags and they use a flashbang ray on Violet and Dash. Essentially, again, this is kind of next level stuff that robbers wouldn't necessarily have. Again, for the status quo change, if you have supers in the world, you got to account for supers in the world. Therefore, they disorient. It's like a sonic noise, and you have like basically flashing, blinding lights. And now, again, Dash, he can't run if he can't see. Like let's say Dash like running at one of them, this thing goes off, and then Dash kind of slams into a wall, like ow. Mm-hmm. And when Violet's like, she's like, she's kind of this like the sonic thing is just kind of messing with her ears, kind of making her almost a little nauseous, a little queasy. And then following this, Elastigirl's not taking kindly to this. She takes down that guy, Wonder Woman style, as in like she runs towards the guy. Basically, she does this Olympic style, like kind of leap over the side, and with her extended along her arm essentially works almost like a lasso, and she like grabs the guy and drags him down to the next level, and then she springs back up, turns her legs into a spring, and boing. So as all this is going on almost simultaneously, all this great action stuff's going on. Frozone, Lucius, he was trying to get into he's trying to get into like a jewelry store or something, like again buy something for Honey. It's the main reason he's there to buy something for Honey. And there's like all these people panicking, running the other way, and he realizes, oh man, I gotta help, darn it. So basically, his shopping is spoiled, so he can assist Bob, and as Bob's kind of getting into a fight with a few of the guys. you know, like Bob, he does this cool thing where again, Mr. Incredible is kind of nigh invulnerable, so he's taking a few bullets that are kind of almost Shazam or Superman style, kind of bouncing off of his chest. As Syndrome's like coming, sorry, crap, as Frozone is coming to his defense there and kind of helping him out, and basically the original three essentially are about to give chase here to our guys who are running towards we're running to the truck as fast as they can, and basically they're running to a truck that's very kind of Mask of the Phantasm style, like like the young Bruce Wayne, with the ski mask, vigilante days. Like the guys are trying to get away on a truck filled with all the valuables that they've stolen, and basically they're chasing them through the mall there. Let's see, they like as Elastigirl's running the chase behind him, she's saying, "Violet, stay with the hostages and calm Jack down." Again, as Jack is still freaking out. It's like, calm down. The original three are on the job. Bob runs, to the loading dock where again this big kind of Phantasm-esque truck is. He jumps on the truck as it's driving away, and it leads to this awesome high-speed chase. Frozone, he begins like an ice ramp, so he's like chasing behind it, and then Elastigirl, she pushes like a button on her suit or something, and she calls for the Incredicar to give chase because now we have the red Incredicar, the new one. The Incredicar, like in like a parking space, it activates and it gives chase, and basically she hitches a ride in the Incredicar. Well, again, they're all chasing after the same truck here. So Bob's on board. He's he ties one of the guys up with the railing, he takes out one of the guys and he's like wrapping him up in like this metal railing. And let's see. So as he's doing that, another guy, like in the other corner, like again, Bob just thinks, okay, I'm just going to wrap this guy up, then I'll wrap the other guy up like he's Luke Cage or something. And as he's about to do that, this other guy reaches into the duffel bag and pulls out essentially what is like a mini cannon. This mini cannon shoots at him with a giant goo ball. Yes, folks, I said goo ball, as in the same exact type of goo ball that trapped him in the first Incredibles. All those big black kind of like things. Basically, that's kind of Bob's kryptonite, like those big expanding goo balls that make him unable to move. So he's splattered with kind of a condensed, gooier version of that, and he's stuck to the back of the truck is open, like both doors are still swinging open. So Bob is stuck to one of the swinging doors that is still swinging open, like ah. So he's kind of freaking out, like, oh my god, is this thing's going at a high speed? Thankfully, Elastigirl's behind him. She tells Frozone, like, Frozone, direct the traffic, and basically what that means is like, basically use your ice powers to create like these roadway dividers, so you keep the truck like going, so it's not hitting other cars and everything. Direct the traffic so we don't cause a car accident, which is really smart. So, they're Elastigirl's getting ready to catch the bad guys. So what she does is she hits a button, and basically this button like sucks her into like a missile launcher, and she's launched out over the truck and onto the windshield. Like she splats on the windshield. Just as this happens, Bobby's freeing himself, and he sees the car, and he voice commands the Incredicar, like, catch me. So basically, he breaks the door off completely as he's like sliding down the highway. Like thankfully, the friction like burns off the goo, and he frees himself in the car in one foul swoop. The door opens and it catches him. So now Bob's in the car. Frozone again, he's directing the truck, just making sure it doesn't wreck and everything. And Elastigirl, she dodges some gunfire, like it's a guy shooting through the windshield, and she grabs, she punches him in the face, she grabs the brake, and essentially she kind of flips the car over, safely thanks to Frozone. Like flips the car over. Elastigirl acts as an airbag for the bad guy, so he doesn't like go flying through the window, saving the guy. Frozone does a sweet move with these Christmas lights. So now the truck has landed. One of the guy in back who shot the goo launcher, he's trying to get away, and Frozone, sliding one of those giant ice tower things, one of the giant ski ice ramp things. He basically grabs a string of Christmas lights and he bowler ropes the guy as he's running away with the Christmas lights. Like grabs him by the feet and wraps his feet as he's running away, just falls on his face. Boom, and then we have this awesome Trinity shot of like Bob's car pulls up as Elastigirl gets all, and they have like this awesome Trinity shot, like, oh. Act 3 is almost over, folks. Okay. So
you mean Act 1?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I got it. I'm paranoid about Act 3, folks. You can tell, I know. Act 1, so the end of Act 1's really close. They basically have this scene in Act 1.
Gotta say, Dragon, you're putting like way more detail into your action scenes than I am, which is a good thing because I have a lot of like, and they fight.
So then we have the aftermath, and in the aftermath, Rick basically have this fun. I kind of figured out this fun dichotomy. My logic is that in the future of the Incredibles, at least what I'd like to see is, Rick Dicker is working with Winston Dever, and it's kind of like again, kind of a Breaking Bad, kind of a Better Call Saul homage of Mike. They have a kind of a Mike and Jimmy-esque dynamic.
Oh.
Rick has a, Rick, he trained Winston. He's very eager to please. So the idea is that Rick's the guy. You gotta remember, the NSA, the National Supers Agency, they work cleanup. They're essentially the men in black. Like, they're not official cops or anything, but like they work cleanup, and they have to spin their spin control. They have to say, okay, folks, like, and I figure the dynamic is this. Rick deals directly with the heroes, as in Rick is he's filling the family on what exactly is going on here, as Winston does the public spin control, given his history in telecommunications. Like, he's the essentially he's like a lawyer, or like a salesman for all the supers. He's saying, okay, folks, what happened here is we had a little a happy holiday heroism going on here, as you notice. No, it's like as if you were in a courtroom selling this to a judge, essentially, as we know Odenkirk can do. So he's giving the official spin with that Odenkirk flair. Then Rick Dicker's filling him in on what exactly happened. Like, why the heck did those guys have like the goo ball weapon, like the flashbang thing? Where they happen getting these next level weapons from? Essentially, this is the kind of the exposition about escalation that Rick Dicker's given us here, which boils down to this. A new villain broke into the NSA, the Hoarder. Now, the Hoarder, I did my research here, tried to get this as good as I went real deep cuts on this. In the Disney Infinity game, they gave the Incredibles a few extra villains, and believe me, folks, I combed through every Elseworld, well, not every Elseworld, every Incredibles comic there is to look for villains, and there are a lot of riches, and now they're doing kind of what Disney's doing with Star Wars now, where basically all the new Star Wars comics are actually in the movie's continuity. It's like they got rid of the old expanded universe stuff. Now they're doing new stuff, and they're doing that now with Incredibles 2, like what happens afterwards. So unfortunately, all the old stuff got rewritten when Incredibles 2 came out because it took place like 2 minutes after the original one. So I had some issues.
You need to tell me that the Underminer video game isn't in continuity, Dragon.
Exactly the dilemma. Believe me, folks, I tried like all sorts of villains, hence the whole reason Fabian had to go, and like I was gonna have Bon Voyage in there because again, Bon Voyage was never caught. So I did some digging. I found the Hoarder because the Hoarder is kind of a ridiculous villain idea, and I took the concept of the Hoarder, who's in like the Disney Infinity video game. And I made the Hoarder kind of like made it more like kind of a sad, neurotic character. And the idea is the Hoarder is basically, he's a parody of the Collector. He collects things and he puts people in hostage traps and everything. So the Hoarder, in this case, is a sad, kleptomaniac kind of collector guy. That's kind of what I figured the Hoarder was. So the Hoarder, he broke into the NSA and he stole all the archived villain assets. Because, in the first Incredibles movie, Rick Dickers says, we've frozen all of Syndrome's assets, as in the NSA has reclaimed all the villains. Anytime a super defeats a villain, all the villain's evil lair and everything, all their gadgets, goes to the NSA vaults. Mm-hmm. So also like heroes trophies and everything, and of course it'd be like a fun callback here, Bob saying, "Yeah, like my car," and Rick Dicker saying, "I said I was sorry, Bob. They told me it was destroyed too. All right, I got you a new car. Can we let it be?" And Bob's saying, yeah. So the point is, like, anytime like you have like a Batcave where Batman has all the trophies from the bad guys, it's kind of that deal. So the Hoarder broke in, and the only allusion I have to the old Patrick Fabian villain plot is that we think he might have been working with somebody. So that's the only reference I have to what the original plot was left. Okay. All right, so let's see. So again, the idea, it's the theme of escalation and change, that in a post-super world, the villains are going to need to even the playing field a little bit with supers. And basically it's kind of saying the screenslaver had somewhat of a point that if you have supers, there will be consequences. So again, I'm trying to expand upon the idea in little doses, Let's see. He suspects he wasn't working alone. Okay, so Winston sells the crowd on the seasonal heroism. After that, he's kind of walking down there. Everyone's dispersing. Elastigirl checks in on Winston because again, they kind of have a little bond going on because they work together a lot in Incredibles too. And she's asking a little bit of aftermath here, saying, "Hey, how's Evelyn?" Because, of course, his sister was, minor spoilers here, folks, his sister did some bad stuff in Incredibles 2. And she's in prison right now, and she's asking, like, how's Evelyn? And she says, well, still she's still basically. I basically gave it sort of like a Jimmy and Chuck dynamic with Winston and his sister. That Winston still loves his sister, but his sister again really betrayed him in a very fundamental way. So Winston still likes his sister, still loves her, and still wants to be there for her. But things are obviously tough. She really betrayed him in a fundamental way in regards to the supers and really underhanded stuff. So Elastigirl's kind of checking in on that because Elastigirl also liked Evelyn. So it's complicated. So again, we're doing kind of the complicated family relationship around the holidays trope with that one.
Okay, nice.
Let's
Dragon,
see.
I go to admit with Evelyn, I just kind of like I didn't have anything. Like I could have included a line, but I got nothing.
That's fair. I have like two things with Evelyn. This is the first one, so later on it's still called. Okay, anyway, so basically this is where Act One ends here, folks. So
Okay.
Frozone's bummed out because now the part of the big fancy, the close by big fancy department store / Uber 60s mall is now out of commission because it's a crime scene. Everything's been stolen, has to be counted, and around basically with 2 or 3 days before Christmas, Frozone's up a creek right now.
Oh man.
So he has a big problem. We'll elaborate on Act Two. Jack is sad and crying in Elastigirl's arms, or Bob's arms, or I don't know. It's basically Jack's sad because now Santa's gone, and obviously they're not going to be able to go to another mall again within those few days. And Violet hits Bob with the big bombshell.
Uh-oh.
So this is where Act One ends right here. So Violet hits Bob with the big bombshell that Tony Ridinger has invited her to a ski lodge with his family. His family's spending Christmas at a ski lodge for the Christmas weekend, I guess Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the weekend of Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And Bob is crestfallen yet positive. He's not crushing her hopes here. He's just saying, "Oh, you can easily tell that Bob is very hurt by this. That's great, honey." And that's where Act One ends.
We kind of get the same animation that we got on him with that phone call to Helen in Incredibles 2.
He's in excellent health. All right.
Okie dokie, Dragon. I guess just jumping right into my Act Two. Let me pull it up. Okay, Act Two. This is going to go by. This is the quickest of the 3 acts, Dragon. It's basically just 2 big action set pieces, and that's kind of it. So Edna's driving Jack, Dash, and Violet to the pier, and yes, Edna's actually driving, and we see this in a comedic fashion through a very small car, and then also kind of foot pedals that she's kind of fashioned for herself that are way higher off the ground than usual. So we get kind of a great sight gag with that. All right, nice. Here we go, darlings. Let's go to the pier. Darling, for the Festival of the Lights. And we get a cool bit of world building here, kind of explaining the situation that the blizzard is specifically isolated to the city, and the pier being kind of out on the ocean, kind of out on the water, and sort of on the outskirts of the city is unaffected. So a bunch of townspeople have gathered around the Festival of Lights. Both as, because the Festival of Lights is kind of a tradition and to get away from the weather, so it's more crowded than usual. We also kind of set up a bit of a tense atmosphere with people, because their Christmas Eve last-minute shopping's been ruined because of the blizzard. And so overall, people are just kind of peeved that the blizzard is taking place. Let me see. So we're basically kind of highlighting the bad traffic and bad weather around the holidays, just kind of the general bad conditions, kind of the not so great side of the holiday season as they arrive at the pier and Dash is all stoked for the roller coaster. California screaming. No, I'm just kidding. Meanwhile, tensions are also high inside of the interrogation chamber as Dicker's just kind of fallen asleep reading a newspaper, but the weatherman is smiling maniacally as Bob and Turnblad get into a heated argument with each other, which results in Turnblad kind of putting on his rocket arms because, of course, keep in mind, right before this, Turnblad caused the blizzard to get even worse. So Bob is really pissed at Turnblad at this point. He's like, "Are you kidding?" And then he kind of wakes up Dicker. It's "Are you kidding me, Rick? This guy, this is our solution." And so we get kind of Turnblad turns up the heat very quickly. He's very quick to pull out the God, this is ridiculous. The rocket arms dragon, which are essentially like Hulk arms beats Iron Man arms. And he punches Mr. Incredible into submission, but unfortunately that leads to a hole in the interrogation chamber. You know, the classic like, oh no, there's a hole in the jail cell. And so Patrick Fabian, without saying a word, he just kind of smiles and lets himself out, and he's like, the forecast, gentlemen, is for cold weather. Lets himself out. And so, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm realizing this really isn't great.
Well, again, I mean, I'm sold on your Act One.
You're sold on my Act One, okay.
I'm sold on your Act One. So far, Act Two's tracking along. I like the. I'm not put off, but just you might want to. So just clarify this for me, so I can make sure I'm following along. All right.
So basically, it was the weatherman's idea to get him put into the prison cell, knowing that they'd have to call in the tech guy, knowing that Bob and the tech guy would get into a fight. So essentially, he's causing a big diversion.
Huh. Okay, so he's causing the diversion so he can escape?
Yes.
Well, Tiki, I hate to poke holes here. I do.
No, by all means, poke holes. It's fine.
Here's the thing. So, just saying, what did he accomplish in getting captured?
Not a whole lot.
That's the thing, and also it's kind of a buy that he would just like, oh, they happen to call a tech that he knows is going to get under Mr. Incredible's skin.
Yeah, you're right. It is a buy.
Right.
It's not great. It's not great.
Is that the end of Act Two?
No, it's not.
Okay, keep going then.
Let's just say that the police station is really close to his destination, and he needs a ride, Dragon. He needs a ride. He needs to be closer. I know that's flimsy, but just go with it. God damn it!
All right.
I know it's really weak. It's really weak. You know, Dragon, the you and I are both kind of self-conscious about our pitches, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, believe me, folks, my self-consciousness will kick in when we get to Act 3. But right now, I'm getting a sense it's creeping on Tiki in Act 2 here.
It's creeping in on me a little bit. Point being, there's just this big fight. Helen's, of course, trying to ease the tension to no avail, and the walls of the room are blown open, and the weatherman escapes. All right. Meanwhile, at the pier, we get kind of the Incredicoaster sequence. Tony meets up with Violet, and they split off to ride the Tunnel of Love. And Dash goes on the roller coaster, leaving Edna to take care of Jack Jack. Violet's powers are starting to kind of fluctuate as she's embarrassed over being with Tony in the Tunnel of Love. So she's kind of inadvertently starting to create force fields, and like parts of her body are starting to turn invisible, and she's really struggling to control that in front of Tony. Meanwhile, we cut to Dash. While this is super stressful for Violet, we cut to Dash, and he's on the roller coaster, and he's bored out of his mind. He's just like, "Are you kidding me? You call this fast?" And meanwhile, Jack Jack is throwing a temper tantrum because he's not tall enough for the roller coaster, which leads to Demon Jack Jack. Demon Jack Jack starts to run all over the track, and Dash is like, "Yes, all right, this is my chance." He lifts up his safety bar, jumps onto the track. We get kind of a sampling of the audio from the Incredicoaster where Dash is counting down like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! And he speeds off up the ramp, and then we get all the trappings of the Incredicoaster. Right? We get basically kind of like a repeat of the Incredicoaster where Tony, meanwhile, has a heroic moment where he borrows from a random civilian. He kind of has one of those funny times, like as he and Violet are exiting the Tunnel of Love and they see the destruction going on. He takes a pair of Elastigirl extendable arms from from a random civilian. He's like, pardon me, let me borrow these. I'll give them right back. Like kind of like a funny time sequence like that. And he goes up the lift hill of the coaster with the Elastigirl arms, trying to catch Jack Jack. He catches Jack Jack at the top of the coaster, but Jack Jack kind of beats on the arms, and the arms let him go, and he goes down the drop. And this is where we get the part in the Incredicoaster where Jack Jack starts multiplying all over the place. Violet's trying to get Jack Jack into the force field, but it's not working. There's too many of them. And finally, you're going to love this, Dragon. Meanwhile, Edna's been working on a solution the whole time. And the solution is a robotic Iron Man style Jack Jack suit that flies in, and it kind of like attaches itself to Jack Jack, much like the Iron Man suit now attaches itself to Tony. And of course, with attaching itself to Jack Jack, we get the safety protocol, the fail safe, where the pink goo comes out and everything, and
the lavender extinguisher.
Yeah, exactly. Just this is something I've been working on, darling. No big deal, just for emergency circumstances. All right, and that was the Incredicoaster sequence. Yeah. All right, so Act 2 comes to an end with Tony. Tony is just kind of shaken by the whole experience, and it's not that he's mad. He just kind of like runs off. He doesn't quite know what to say. Meanwhile, Wally is approaching his wife's house, and Bob, Turnblad, and Helen agree to work together. Let's see. Winston says that they're going to do this. They need some more help, which leads to Void getting called in from a Hanukkah party. And they all kind of assemble. Yes, Void's Jewish.
No, that's awesome. I like that.
You like that? You like that? Good. I'm glad.
Void being Jewish. More, I like that you worked in Void. Period. I'm jealous of that. Honestly,
I have a couple things with Void.
That's the thing. I was battling screen time so much, I couldn't work around.
Well, you see, Dragon, I kind of had to sacrifice Frozone with Void. That was kind of my deal. I felt that with Void, I could do the Hanukkah stuff, and
you worked in Frozen tremendously well, though. You had him like on the phone.
Yeah, I know. I did. I am very proud of like the one gag I do have with Frozone. I will admit. Thank you.
It's nice, Bob.
And then, of course, the one time where he and Honey are lovey-dovey with each other is the one time where they agree that Frozone shouldn't be heroine.
Yeah, just
sugar.
Just remind me one thing though: is the Weatherman's wife still alive, or?
Yes. She's still alive. They just divorced because I probably didn't explain this well enough.
I didn't hear the divorce part. So if I'm getting this right, you're saying that he's trying
due to a combination of the stress put on by him being a celebrity weatherman, and then also when he got the weatherman powers, it was just too much for her to deal with. She just thought he was delusional.
And basically, what he's gonna, I think I got it now. Okay, what you're saying also that he's in making it snow, proving his power. He'll show like I wasn't crazy and win her back.
Exactly.
That's his line of thinking, right?
Yeah, that's exactly his line of thinking.
All right, gotcha.
All right, and that's the end of Act 2.
I'm sorry. So the end of Act 2, you mentioned Void. Then we can get off track. So Void.
Well, the end of Act 2 is Void getting called in from the Hanukkah party, and Bob, the mini Iron Man type character, Turnblad, Helen, they're all working together. And you know what? At the end of Act 2, let's kind of have a no, never mind. It's too silly. I was going to bring in a Better Call Saul reference, but it's too silly. Never mind.
All right.
So the end of Act 2 is just kind of like them suiting up to stop the Weatherman.
Okay. Act 2 for me. Act 2, again, the theme of Act 2 is kind of holiday struggles and kind of a mundane adventure. That's kind of the balance there against like a big struggle and adventure of the holidays. All right. Act 2 should go by relatively fast too. It's also just this is kind of a fun. It's kind of a fun set piece, and also I used 2 Christmas songs in the whole thing. Now, I'm following the logic of The Incredibles. All the music that the Incredibles only really used one song. It was a Nat King Cole song in Incredibles 2. because usually it's just Giacchino's score, but I mean, like using like an actual song, and that's basically I figure the logic of that is if they're really going with the whole like kind of futuristic '60s setting, then they can't use any music beyond the '60s, so that's kind of the cutoff in terms of using your music. So I have like a song here and a song in Act Three, and we'll get there when we get there. So just a little bear that in mind when we get to Act Two.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Act Two. So Act Two kicks off with some fun seasonal decks. Again, the Act One was pretty much all incredible stuff. Now we're starting into the holiday cheer of it all here. So, Act Two, we're in the new house, of course, at the new fancy house that they're all kind of selling into. You know that Dever, that Winston Dever gave them in Incredibles 2. And they're basically decorating the new house for the holidays because the old one blew up. So it's kind of like in the tradition, I figured, basically we have a few traditions of the Parr family kind of in practice here. The tradition is, Dash kind of sets up the house for decoration as fast as he can. Like, he doesn't he doesn't put like all the special, like he'll basically get everything out of boxes and everything, kind of like decorate everything, including the outside and everything, as fast as he can. We'll time them. But, not like these special ornaments because they hang those as a family,
Uh-huh.
Okay, so basically, the tradition's like, "Hey, Dash, you ready?" It's like a game for Dash, and they get the stopwatch out. You got the stopwatch? You bet. So then we see this great this brief montage of like a high-speed decoration in this bigger space. Like the fireplace comes on, we see him decorate the outside, put the Christmas lights. I was like, "Oh man, if it were only that easy,"
Mm-hmm.
So as Dash is doing that, we have Violet and Helen. They're baking Christmas cookies again per tradition, and cookies with like kind of the Incredibles theme on, like they're like the sprinkles are all like kind of the Incredibles colors and everything, red, yellow, black, and all that stuff, like those kind of sprinkles. A very kind of little family crest, if you will. Have the little Christmas cookies. So they put everything's hung up except for the special ornaments. So then Bob, again, now everything's set up. Bob basically has to hang the stockings and the ornaments. So, like, those are the last things left. So he's hanging the ornaments. And as he's doing that, Violet gets a call from Tony Ridinger, and he kind of breaks an ornament, extend out of stress. Again, I want to make it clear, he doesn't dislike Tony. He doesn't hate Tony Ridinger because we went through that in Incredibles too. He likes Tony. Everyone likes Tony. So he's a nice boy. So he accidentally breaks an ornament with his strength, and it's like Anyway, then we just have an instant cut to like mid gripe, like we cut to Bob like with his glasses on, like kind of using like a little glue bottle, fixing the ornament. And as Bob is repairing the ornament, very kind of quiet scene. Helen comes by and the two of them chat. And basically, they have a good perennial chat here, where we have this as real a conversation as you could have between Helen and Bob, kind of like the pink hair dryer scene from the first Incredibles movie, or more accurately, like kind of like their whole like we gotta earn a living in Incredibles too, like when they're in the motel, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So basically, as to summarize it here, Helen's just very calmly pointing out again to Bob here is like Bob, we've driven him to the movies. We know Tony. We like Tony, isn't that right? And Bob's kind of grumbling, yeah, we do. And she's and basically, again, she's being smart here, very calm and collected, very much Holly Hunter, the way she was in broadcast news. If anyone knows that reference, it's kind of funny. We have two Pixar actors in that movie. Albert Brooks and Holly Hunter. So if you want like a frame of reference for kind of how this scene goes, it's kind of like one of those scenes. So basically she's kind of spelling out to Bob here that and of course we trust our daughter, right? Yeah, we do, and of course we're not going to tell her no, because if we tell her no, it's just going to stir everything up and make her rebel against us. And obviously we don't want that. She's like, yeah, you're right. And basically Bob's frustrated. Bob's heart's in the right place here. He's not like irrationally like thinking, oh, I hate that, no boys or anything. He's not that sort of guy. Like, because he knows this kid, knows he's good, and it's just but it's bugging Bob, just to get to the root of it here. It's the fact that this is going to be the first Christmas Violet has not spent with the family.
Sure.
Basically, Bob's big story here is his little girl's growing up, and it's too fast for him. And again, I double checked this because I could have sworn Violet was in high school, but apparently it's junior high, and that makes sense because Dash is 10 and she's like roughly 15 or so. So I guess that like she's kind of like late junior.
14.
You might be right. I'm just saying like 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that puts her in, I don't know, middle or end of junior high. I'm not entirely.
14 would put her in 8th grade. 15 would put her in freshman, I think.
All right, that sounds about right. Anyway, so the point is like this would be the big symbol. This is like the first time Bob's really had to face that his little girl's kind of growing up and kind of leaving the family, kind of leaving him around the holidays, and especially since the superhero thing, they've been such a kind of a tight knit team. It's like it kind of created the delusion for Bob that your family will never leave you. Essentially, that's kind of what Bob's kind of contending with here. So it's kind of like a fun. It's kind of like a funny conversation we got with Bob coming up here, but he's it's like. Sorry, I'm jumping into the next thing. I don't mean to here. I just want to make sure that there's anything I'm missing here. So, um, but you can't tell her not to go, and Bob very reluctantly agrees. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we could always say, we need her around, and of course, Helen's just kind of giving the cold shoulder. Come on, Helen, be on my side on this. And it's kind of Bob just kind of realizing, yeah, she's right. I don't like it, but she's right. And then we kind of shift over to Helen's side of the conversation with her own dilemmas. Again, our two stories are kind of conversing here. So, story A. Bob and Violet. Story B, Helen echoes that, oh man, we might have, Jack, he's been kind of bummed out. I don't want to depress baby around the holidays. Man, that's not right. We've ruined his first Christmas because of our superheroing and all that chaos that happened. So basically they're dealing with the Jack dilemma of like, we kind of ruined it. He's so looking forward to seeing Santa Claus, and there's no way we're going to be able to see a Santa Claus this late in the game. Because now it's like, at this point, it's probably December 23rd, probably. So then basically they get the solution. Again, this is like a thing that families do, where you have like someone, basically they get the dad as Santa's solution here, where it's like, hey, wait a minute, I could dress up as Santa Claus. Like, yeah, you're right, you could dress up as Santa Claus. Yeah. He's probably figuring, again, they're not saying this directly, he's probably figuring Santa Claus is a superhero, so why not Bob? So basically, it's like a whole dad is Santa solution, which many families do when you have like an infant or like a really young kid. You have someone dressed up as Santa Claus, if not a member of the family, dressed up as Santa Claus. So it kind of ipso facto, it all works. So then Helen's like, she's on the mission. Helen's like, okay, I'm going to get a Santa suit. And we're going to make this happen. Right. So again, as the minute Helen leaves, minute Helen leaves, Bob just kind of shrugs off the sadness, kind of a lonely moment here. Yeah, okay, well, everything's working. It's just the minute he takes that breath and he keeps on fixing the ornament, there's like a knock at the door, and Lucius is dropping by, along with Dash here. Like Dash is kind of speeding into the scene after he's decorated the house here, and they both have the same problem.
Oh God!
They need to go last minute Christmas shopping. Now, here's where things turn set up. So Act 2 is really funny, by the way, in case anyone's curious. This is where things get really funny here. So basically, it's kind of our mini story. It's kind of in the midst of everything here, where Bob has this, like, only the way Craig T. Nelson could here. We have this, like, basically Incredibles 2 Bob here, where Bob has this funny, they're all panicked, they're all frantic, and Bob's just trying to keep a cool head and all this craziness here. He's trying to be the straight man. Where he's facing the questions here, basically like, yeah, we have the same problem. Well, yeah, we didn't do our Christmas shopping till the last minute. Now, we only have like a day and a half till Christmas. And Bob's like, what? He's like turning to both of them in the frame. You're like turning to Lucius. Like, what do you mean you waited the last minute to shop for your wife? I was busy. It's like I was about to. Like, I had like a week left, and then the Santa. Basically, then all the you saw me there. All that chaos broke out. Now I can't get that anywhere. It's like now, like it's getting the clock's ticking now, and I'm in a panic here. Bob, help me! And then he turns to Dash like, what about you? And and Dash is like, well, I saved up. I just and basically Dash is procrastinating. And that's why he's young. I just thought it was hilarious because I really wanted to find a way to pair Frozone and Dash up, because these two characters, they like each other. The whole like, Lucius, he spits his
sure.
That whole thing. So I wanted to pair those two guys up, and basically Dash, he saved up, but he's procrastinated, and we cut to like, wait, how did you get all that? Said, yeah, I got all this money. It's like, wait, how did you get all that money? And we had this quick like cutaway gag to Dash at super speed, shoveling snow around the holidays.
Nice.
And look, there's like basically I took a liberty here with a cutaway. By the same token, I use this cutaway in the way that we have a cutaway in Up when Carl kind of hallucinates. But wait a minute, what if like I hung Russell out the window to lower him down, like that whole kind of thing. So then like a beat passes, and then Bob's like, okay, we're going to talk about that later. But right now, and Bob's like, in a man, like he just kind of pieces it together, like, oh, we must use a super speed.
I got to admit, Dragon, I'm kind of envious of your comedic timing here.
All right, so then Bob, he's in action mode here because again, this is what Bob can do. Like, you can't control what his daughter's doing because he doesn't want to get in the way of her happiness. But Bob right now is like, okay, guys, basically Bob's in action mode here. Okay, we're gonna do a shopping adventure to the Incredicar, and then we homage 65. Exactly, just to add to the. We have sleigh bells instead of like. Okay, meanwhile, Helen. So Helen, she learns that every costume place is sold out or rented out for the holidays for Santa Claus. A lot of people getting the same idea. So then Helen's like, oh man, I got nothing here. It's like, what am I going to do? Then she has like a light bulb moment. She realizes not everywhere is sold out. So then just cut to, like, the minute she gets that light bulb idea of, I know just the place to cut to Edna's house.
Oh, man.
So we Edna, the way I figured here, because Edna essentially she's a loner around the holidays. And basically the best way I could describe it is it's kind of Citizen Kane's Xanadu around Christmas time. That's essentially what Edna mode is like, kind of the sophisticated Frank Cross Christmas. Like it's like Christmas if you squint, Like if you look around the room, like, okay, there's like a little stocking or something in the deep background of like kind of this awesome Art Deco,
right,
like a mausoleum of awesome fashion. It is like it's not really Christmas. Like Edna celebrates Christmas, but very, very minorly. So again, Helen drops by to Edna. It's like, oh, darling, welcome. How are you? And basically, she's asking Edna, listen, I need you to do me a solid here. I need a Santa suit. And of course, Edna just misreads this as like, oh, I love a challenge. And basically, she's thinking about all these wonderful tactical things she could do with a Santa suit. And Helen's like, no, Edna, I just need a simple, I just need a simple Santa suit. It doesn't need to be no bells and whistles, just something simple and fast. And says, okay, I'll do what I can fast. So let's see. Again, that's kind of put in play. We're going to check back in with those guys. So then we see our trio, kind of the Parmen and Lucius here. Let's see. They make a plan. Like Violet's babysitting Jack. That's the idea. Well, that's all going on. So our three guys in the Incredicar. Again, it's not in the Incredicar mode here, but they arrive at basically like almost like a town over. They arrive at a mall. So like the next nearby a mall as they could get, again, in a bind here. So they're like the next kind of it's a kind of a smaller department store, but they're there. So the trio made, and they're in the parking lot. And again, basically as if it were Mission Impossible or like an Ocean's 11 movie, they're planning what they're going to do. So, okay, guys, we got to focus here. Bob is kind of leading the charge here. And basically, okay, Zone, what are we looking for here? Because he calls him Zone for short. Okay, Zone, what are we looking for here? Well, and basically the gist of it is Frozen's not exactly being helpful in this situation because he doesn't know what his wife likes. No man knows what his wife likes.
Of course.
And then basically, and just Bob's question, because Bob's gotten his shopping done and everything, and there's I addressed the reason why here. Basically, Lucius is saying, well, look, when I go out to save the day, she goes shopping. Do you understand the dilemma here? I go out, she goes shopping, as in she's bought stuff that I don't know if she has or not. And then Bob's like kind of, I always, my favorite thing in Incredibles 2, I got to tell you, one of my favorite bits in the whole movie was when Bob had that conversation with Crusher and he just had that moment where no one's ever asked for that. I love that kind of Bob. I love when Bob just asks these very logical, mundane questions to people. He's saying, well, don't you do things together? Helen and I do things together all the time. And basically, it's not that, and basically Bob has like an moment where he realizes, oh yeah, we're in the field together, therefore we're kind of joined at the hip where honey, she's always, it's like kind of power and non-powered relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the same thing.
God. That could almost be like a vague like race allegory right there, Dragon, if you think about it.
At the very least, it's definitely like a marriage thing of like basically the subtext is like Bob has a far better marriage than Frozen.
Oh God.
That's what I was going for, at least.
Yeah, sure.
So let's see. So again, like they're all about to break out the mission here and everything. So it's like, okay, and Dash, remember, no powers. You're in civilian identity, no powers. Oh, but no powers. So again, then we have the even more so Mission Impossible-esque thing where they're in the department store now and they're going over, that little key in a mall where you have like the little information directory. And basically, we're darting with the camera like left and right, basically mapping out the place. Okay, here are our spots, guys. Okay, Dash, go wherever you need to get your shopping done. We're going to meet back here like within an hour. Basically, by closing time, we meet back here. And okay, Zone, you take these things that your wife might be interested in, and I'll take the other half. Okay, break. So basically this Mission Impossible kind of Ocean's 11 thing's getting kicked off. Meanwhile, back to E. So E finished the Santa suit. She presents it, and she's like gloating what she could do in such little time. Saying, "Okay, darling, here you go." And it has like that little E shopping bag, which cracks me up that she kind of puts it in like it's Zales or something. Where it's like, you'll notice it's fire resistant, tear proof, bulletproof, and thermal. For basically, as she made it as if it's perfect for a real Santa Claus. That's essentially what she's done. Like friction proof and everything. And Elastigirl, and Helen's like, "Thanks, E. This will do perfectly." Just you get a sense in the line of like she overdid it, but it works for me. I'm desperate here. It works.
Right.
I'm not even going to read her. She doesn't get it, and it's fine. So as Helen's about to leave, she sees kind of a E just about to go back to kind of her lonely thing because again it's Christmas. It's around the holidays, and she's the sense that E's kind of lonely, and she just kind of takes a beat here. Like before Helen leaves, she kind of stops and she kind of turns and she has this moment where she realizes, yeah, I got to invite E. She turns around and says, "Hey E, Christmas Day, we're having the family. The family's going to be there. We'll get Lucius is coming by. Why don't you join us?" And the idea is E again being kind of a lonely eccentric. She likes to stay by herself and she's like just kind of writes off an excuse like, "Oh, I'm going to be far too busy, darling. The post-Christmas season. I'm sure there are going to be supers coming in for costume upgrades and everything." So again, the idea is that. I'm always fascinated in the future of The Incredibles. I love the idea of what we did with Jack, and E, and I want to see her become basically what you laid out, Tiki. I want to see her become more and more a member of the family, even with the Incredicoaster ideas seemingly consistent with that. E's becoming closer and closer with the family.
Yeah, exactly.
And essentially, what I had here is that Elastigirl kind of finds a way to kind of invite E without necessarily E kind of accepting things here. It's like, well, E, I mean, Jack's going to be heartbroken that you're not there, and plus you won't be able to see your Santa suit in use. I mean, that's the whole thing. We're doing it for Jack. He wants to see Santa Claus. He's going to be appreciating your work. Don't you want to? I think we'd love it for you to be there. And E basically she then kind of takes a bit there. Basically, E would never admit it. She's getting kind of weak because E doesn't cry.
Yeah.
Brad Bird had this great credo with E saying like, no crying at ease.
Oh man.
Which is why she has toilet paper and not tissues at her place. So the point is, E basically spins it as if it were her idea, like, "Oh, darling, I must come, certainly." And he basically sings like, "Oh, Helen, you can come too. Just tell me what time to be there, darling." Basically, she basically makes it sound like it was entirely her idea. So.
Right.
Okay. Meanwhile, here's we're getting very close to the end. It's basically the last kind of montage and then the whole thing. Act 2 ends. So. We see Frozone and Bob. They're hitting dead ends shopping wise initially before the music starts to kick off in the sequence here. So basically, I think Frozone is hitting the jewelry side of things. Bob's hitting the jewelry side of things, and Frozone's hitting the clothing side of things. Because again, he'd know the intimate measurements. Obviously, Bob wouldn't, so it makes sense. And basically they're sold out, or like either everything's on order or it's sold out or it's in the wrong size. Very mundane problems. And we have bits where this is unfortunately, folks, again, trust me, I'll get into it when we get to Act 3. I had much more elaborate plans with Fabian, but this is what I relegated him to here. Okay, so
all right.
Fabian, I basically kind of went the Bruce Campbell from Spider-Man 2 route with Fabian here.
Which is fair, which is totally fair.
Initially, I was going to make Fabian Santa Claus, and I realized Cranston would be a shoo-in for it, and then
to be fair, my Fabian has a giant plot hole, so,
And honestly,
tomato.
But still, you had a really good thing with Fabian. I mean, your villain is a lot better than my villain idea with Fabian. I don't know, your villain idea is a lot cooler, and I think mine was. I don't get into that with Act 3. The point is, Fabian, he's basically this polite, yet again, kind of very Bruce Campbell. He's like passive-aggressive, but the idea is he enjoys like kind of seeing him fail a little bit here, but he won't admit it. He just says, I'm so sorry, Mr. Best. I basically like reading this card. I'm sorry, I could order it for you. The closest it'll get here will be the middle of January. And you see on like the computer side of things, wherever he's the register, wherever he's looking, he types in A113. This kind of worked out.
Nice. I've also got an A113.
The idea is like it's in like a little order number somewhere, like on the screen or something. It says like A113. And it's like I could put it on order for you. And it's just like, oh, it's not gonna help at all. Have a nice day. So it's just I wanted to capture the ambiguousness of Fabian and Better Call Saul. Like, is he good? Is he being honest? Is he is he actually sympathetic, or is he just kind of sadistic? Like, again, is he like Bruce Campbell, or is he just like like Howard Hamlin? Who knows? And Bob's side of things, we have John Ratzenberg as like the guy telling him, "No luck, buddy. Sorry."
It's funny, Dragon. I was trying to work in John Ratzenberger. I feel like I have a good substitute for John Ratzenberger, but we'll get into him.
I think I know who it is, but
no, you don't know who it is. No.
I was thinking Bill Hader. So
no, it's not Bill Hader. Trust me, it's going to be a surprise.
Okay, we'll see then. I'm
all right.
Okay, so well, Bob's like hitting the dead, and he bumps into Tony, and the idea is like Tony around the holidays, he's working up some extra cash, like gift wrapping. And he says like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Parr," and the idea is you see Bob is very visibly frustrated, but again he's like apart. Basically, the way Bob's feeling here is like, I want to hate this kid, but he's so darn likable. Why is this kid so darn likable? I want to hate him, but I don't. He's taking my daughter away, but he's not bad. Darn it. And basically it's like, oh, hi, Tony. Basically the idea is like, Tony's not helping the situation. He's just kind of deterring him from looking at more stores, just making pleasantries with the kids. Like, can't wait to take Violet on the ski trip. You should run that by you, right? You bet she did, Tony. Yeah. Okay, so then basically things ramp up, and this is the big ending montage. Basically, Carol of the Bells plays. Now, last time we heard Carol of the Bells played was Michael Giacchino in Prep and Landing. He did an excellent job with that. And the idea of Carol of the Bells is traditionally, when you hear Carol of the Bells, a composer will put his own stamp on it. So I figured Michael Giacchino taking another stab at it. He did an amazing job in Prep and Landing. He'd take another stab at it, and he'd basically do a kind of a seasonal Incredibles jazzy version of Carol of the Bells.
Uh-huh.
As we basically, what we see, again, without dialogue, as we see is as this epic song is ramping up, is frantically before closing time, essentially, as there's time and time is it's failure after failure, essentially. We see a frantic Bob and Frozone. They're failing at every turn, and we see Dash getting nothing but success as he's getting like all the. Like Dash is a little impatient, tapping his foot because he can't run from place to place, but he's getting mugs. He gets like a Mr. Incredible mug for Bob. I love your toy idea, so I might work that in there too. By the way, maybe it gets like a Incredibles toy, like a Mr. Incredible toy for Jack or something. Maybe I love your idea so much because you work the actual merchandise into the thing.
That is probably the Elastigirl expendable arms are probably the thing I'm most proud of in my whole pitch. I gotta say.
I mean, the cool thing is the marketing for Incredibles 2 actually worked the toys into.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I'll take that. Basically, that's the idea you remind me of. I'm definitely going to borrow it right now. So, again, also, he's going to scarf for Violet. Here's a little reference. I had this in its place. The point is either Incredibles, Mr. Incredible toys or something, or Tin Toy. I had Tin Toy in there originally. That he got Tin Toy for Jack to make Jack retroactively into the baby from Tin Toy.
Oh my god.
That's originally what I had. So maybe that, or maybe like the Mr. Incredible figure. I don't know. Maybe both. The more he's getting stuff, he's looking. Maybe he's looking.
Give Jack more credit than being the baby from Tin Toy.
No, I'm saying
he's way cooler than that baby. That baby's a little horrifying in retrospect.
I know. That's what I'm saying, Tiki. I'm saying this is the reboot of that with Jack.
Oh god.
I'm saying you reboot Tin Toy with Jack.
Oh man. Oh god. All right.
Which would be even more horrifying.
Yeah, it would be.
The point is like these quick flashes. The ending gets more and more intense. But importantly, as all this is heating up, you see him make something for Helen. He goes to an arts and crafts store, and again, very impatiently, he makes like a frame or something. It doesn't really matter. He makes her something from the heart. That's important. That's a little important detail. So we have the epic, yet the mundane throughout this sequence, and then it ends at closing time to meet up at the same spot. And as they meet up at the same spot, they all look to each other. Dash has like all these bags, and the two men look at each other defeated. And basically, and this is where Act 2 ends. We have all three of them just walking sadly through the parking levels to the Incredicar.
Oh man, okay.
And through the parking levels. All
right. Sounds good.
All right.
I gotta say, Dragon, so far I'm really liking your pitch. All right. My Act 3 also gonna go by pretty quickly here. So they're in traffic headed back home. Of course, the blizzard's still going on. And Edna tells her the story of the boy who stood me up at the Christmas dance in high school, darling. And we see like a little like dorky Edna mode, and we get like a voice like, "Will you go to the Christmas dance with me, darling?" It's almost kind of like, the little the little Anton ego. It's kind of like a very quick flash of like high school, and
I love
she's
it.
got like the giant thick glasses and like the acne.
I'm gonna think I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna raise you something, just a what if here. Just what if. You can shoot this down by all means. It could be a terrible idea, but what if you actually made literalize that? I mean, Edna Mode, she's kind of a world traveler. Perhaps she like you went to high school abroad,
Oh
or she
man.
went to France, and she actually courted Anton Ego.
I like it. I like it. All
Okay,
right.
so what happens? What does the
Okay.
boy do?
Anyways, so they arrive back at the Parr house, and wait, hold on. Sorry, I'm getting a little annoyed.
So you're in the Edna flashback. So
Yeah.
Edna,
So the
she
so Violet's very captivated by the Edna flashback, because of course Violet and Edna are just kind of like reminiscing, waxing poetic on boy trouble, much to Dash's annoyance. Dash is kind of in the back car, like, "You, God, get a room, you guys." Kind of like not knowing what the definition of get a room is.
right, right.
Um, and then Jack Jack, meanwhile, we see Jack Jack has more control over his powers because he actually levitates the car in a force field and kind of like makes the car levitate above the traffic. So meanwhile, they find Tony waiting outside of the house, and Tony apologizes for running off. He basically said he was just pumped with adrenaline and didn't really know how to handle himself. But he thinks that it's awesome that Violet and his family and her family are superheroes, and also, he really loves that he got to help out with the action. He's like, "I gotta say, Violet, getting a taste of, when I had Jack Jack in my hands, in my, patented Elastigirl extendable arms. Even though I did drop him like for a brief moment, I was like, yeah, I did it. I saved the day." So there's this really sweet notion where it's like, if you get to do that all the time, that's pretty awesome to me. And of course, we get a hint that Edna is like, "Darling, Tony, nice to meet you. I am Edna Maud. I am a very, very close family friend, darling. You must be the boyfriend." And we get a hint that she's, of course, like, everyone loves Tony, and also maybe she's working on a project for Tony, perhaps. So we give Tony a ride home via Jack Jack's floating powers, and like I said, we established that Jack Jack's getting a lot more in control of his powers.
Sure. Oh, by the way, I completely forgot. This might be important for your pitch, from what you kind of hinted at me before here. Just to clarify, when is your set again? Is it like
It's basically just like the Christmas of the year that Incredibles takes place. So, just maybe a few months afterwards.
Okay, that's basically okay. We're in kind of the same boat, okay, timeline wise.
Yeah.
And
Like, really, it's just kind of cartoon logic where it's just like, "Hey, it's Christmas of 1980 something," to quote the Goldbergs.
sure. And also, just want to clarify. So you're saying in your pitch here that Reidinger, basically Reidinger has been able to retain his memories that the Pars are superheroes.
I'm saying like him coming clean about like, what, this is awesome. Like, I don't like, basically they kind of realize like, "Hey, why have we been mind wiping this kid? He's a good kid. He'll probably understand superheroes." You know what I mean?
I'm down for that. I just want to make sure.
Okay. All righty. Let's see. So Wally and his wife are reunited, the weatherman and his wife. Dragon, I wanted to cast Vera Farmiga, but I couldn't, man. I mean, it's like we can only get so much Vera Farmiga in our lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, realistically, it's like we can't cast Vera Farmiga in everything.
Well, Tiki, wouldn't the world be a better place if we did, though?
So instead, Dragon, I went with the next best thing. I went with the Diet Coke version of Vera Farmiga. I I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Wendy McLendon Covey, who's of course Beverly Goldberg from the Goldbergs.
Oh God! So you went for Diet Farmiga.
Yes, I went with Diet Farmiga. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Just because I want this, I want this actress to kind of have an air of warmth to her, but also kind of like, she's also no nonsense at the same time.
Answer one thing for me. I just
Oh
want to know
God.
one thing. Okay, this whole again the ex-wife, right?
Yes, yes.
The whole ex-wife story. Is this based on that Lucifer episode I showed you?
No, no, it's not.
I'm saying convenient because again that was the plot line. I remember was the ex winning over the ex-wife.
No, I didn't even think about that when I was constructing this. I gotta
Oh,
say.
I'm impressed. I'm just saying it's convenient, but I mean
All
I
right.
believe it. It's just kind of a little funny, little fun fact there. Keep going.
All right. So basically, we get a flashback as he's explaining that he brought the blizzard for her. He's like, and we also see that he is in control of the cube because we see him pull out the cube. He turns the cube a little bit, and we see the damage, kind of like when the Zuckerberg type character, kind of messed with the cube and it made the blizzard worse. We see him kind of like tone the blizzard down to tolerable levels, and we see basically like Fabian's just like, I believe that the blizzard, that one special Christmas, you know which one I'm talking about. I believe it was about this level, right? And he kind of turns it down like a light switch or something. And the wife is kind of, she's kind of speechless. But at the same time, Bob, Helen, Void, and Turnblad all show up, and they're kind of urging them. Basically, they're kind of like ruining a nice moment. Essentially, it's really bad timing. It's like, Wally is kind of already on the way to redeeming himself, and they're basically telling him to turn himself in, and the weatherman's just like, "Are you serious? I'm just about to get back with my wife, and now this, and now you guys want me to, like, really, whatever happened to goodwill around the holidays?" But then he kind of gets really domestic and kind of in a scary kind of abusive relationship kind of way, where the wife is like, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm not taking you back. I might believe you. Like, yeah, you have the weatherman powers, but that doesn't change the fact that you're a narcissistic celebrity weatherman and you've got a god complex, and that's the reason why I divorced you. And I'm sorry, like, a part of me will always love you, but I can't love you in that way anymore." And so he loses it, Dragon. He loses it. He's like, "Oh, I see. You want a blizzard then? I'll give you a blizzard." And so then, Dragon, we get a really, really cool action set piece. Again, I'm sorry, my action set pieces aren't set as good as they aren't as detailed as yours.
You basically went the Dr. Sarazawa route with your action set piece of they fight. Let them fight.
I mean, essentially, like I have I have ideas for fight scenes. Like, with the Incredibles, like the Incredicoaster is a good example of an action scene I did, like, where, yeah, there are action beats to it, but it's not overly elaborate. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay, so anyways, so this fight scene is basically like kind of like dramatic weather. So which maybe, I'll admit maybe we blow the budget on this a little bit, but I'm talking like golf sized balls of hail, Dragon. I'm talking tornadoes. I'm talking a lightning storm. Like, I'm talking all kinds of different weather situations, all in this one kind of crazy fight scene. And and we have all the different heroes kind of teaming up to try and stop this. Void and Helen are kind of playing hot potato with the cube. Void's kind of tossing it through the different dimensions that she creates. And then Frozone, of course, shows up and he's trying to freeze the cube in place. He's like, "You know what? My wife is going to hate me for this, Bob, but I can't leave you to it. You're an amateur. You want to fight cold? You got to fight it with more cold." All right. And so the kids also show up in battle, and you're gonna, you might love this or you might hate this, Dragon. Tony shows up, and he's got basically a suit that's it's essentially a fancier version of Elastigirl extendable arms, but it includes arms as well as legs, like extendable arms and extendable legs. And then we see E basically kind of in the background, like, yes, you see that turnabout? That's how you do an offshoot Elastigirl costume. All right. So all the superheroes are banding together, and they do apprehend him because Frozone does freeze the cube in place, which leads to the weather being normalized, which leads to his powers being neutralized. And that's about it for the weatherman. And basically, Drag, what I want to get across with the weatherman is that even though he is inherently a guy who's got a positive motivation to him, not all sympathetic villains are going to have a happy ending. You know what I mean? Not all Scrooge figures are going to have a happy ending. And this guy is a very tragic figure. You know, he is kind of like a victim of his own circumstances. He was essentially born into the celebrity role, and that's the celebrity of it all. It was what essentially killed his relationship with his wife. So there is kind of a very unintended, because I can't get this movie out of my mind. There is kind of a hereditary quality to the weatherman in a way. Dragon, that movie is 10 kinds of fucked up.
That's what I've heard.
Oh man,
Yeah, I'm sorry,
I don't get affected by horror movies easily, but yeah.
Just do me a favor. Remind me. Wait, isn't Hereditary the one with the creepy bird bit in it?
Yes, yes.
That's what I thought.
Although, believe me, that's far from the least fucked up part of that movie,
Right.
or far from the most fucked up part, I should say.
All right. Let me ask you this. Just refresh me on this. So Tony Reidinger with the whole the the extendable Elastigirl arms and legs that Edna outfitted him with, a better version of it, right?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
What did Tony do exactly when he showed up?
He borrowed the pair of extendable arms from the random passerby and used the extendable arms to try and catch Jack Jack on the roller coaster.
Well, no, I know that. But I'm saying, what is he doing now?
Oh, I mean, he's just kind of helping out. I mean, he doesn't really have a very particular action beat. It's just kind of like to me, the big punchline is that is that Edna gets to kind of shove it in Turnblatt's face for Turnblatt kind of ripping off the Elastigirl patent.
Right, right.
So I don't know. Like I said, Dragon, you do action sequences a lot better than I do. What can I say? All right. So you ready for 3 Pixar Easter eggs in the span of about 3 seconds, Dragon?
Yeah.
Okay, so we cut to the outside of the DevTech. We cut to the outside of DevTech. We see a Pizza Planet truck pulling away. We see the outside of the office that this Christmas party is being held in. Dragon, come on. You know where we're going with this. A113. And then we see a stack of Pizza Planet pizzas. And it's a Christmas party that, obviously. Yeah. And we have a sax rendition of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas playing in the background. Let's see, we kind of get a general wrap up on storylines. We have Violet and Tony underneath the mistletoe. Oh,
nice, nice.
We have Tony being welcomed into the family, kind of officially like, all right, don't worry, Mom and Dad, we don't have to mind wipe him this time. Tony's just kind of like, wait, what?
I'm jealous of that part. I'm jealous of your Tony Reidinger Violet thing right now. I'm insanely jealous of, because I had to flip between. Well, you'll see what happens when I keep going.
All right. Void is just very happy to have a superhero family around the holidays, of course. Let me see. The Pars and Turnblad come to an understanding, and Bob even kind of takes a liking to Timothy Turnblad, because he's like, you know what, kid, you've got some good ideas. It's like, I will admit, Dragon Turnblad's a character that I could have probably cut out. The only
I
reason
gotta ask you, Tiki. I mean, yeah, it just kind of occurred to me right now. Like, did Turnblad do anything helpful?
no, not really.
I mean, he invented the elastic arms, and that again, Edna outdid
Really,
him on
that's
that.
the only
So,
reason I have him in there is kind of like a rival to E. Yeah, I gotta say, Dragon, there are some holes in mine that you could poke fun of. You definitely. Mine is not perfect at all.
all right.
All
Okay,
right.
so the ending. So yeah, Mr. Incredible kind of has a Scrooge moment with Mr. Turnblad, who
Uh-huh.
he's just kind of passing by.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then suddenly, Dragon, suddenly an explosion happens in the building, and the walls burst through, and
Yeah.
we see candy cane cannons, Dragon. We see candy cane cannons.
My interest is piqued. Keep going.
And then we see a familiar face and an unlikely circumstance. We see Mr. Huff himself, but it's not
What?
just Mr. Huff. It's
Yeah.
Mr. Huff in an elf costume.
Wait, what?
And yes, and Bob is just like, Mr. Huff? And then and Huff is like, oh no, Par. From now on, you can call me Santa's little helper. Ha 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 ha. And then we cut to the supers with Santa hats and with ugly Christmas sweaters, putting on their domino masks to go fight the evil bad guy.
Huh.
So yeah, Mr. Huff, and trust me, Dragon, Mr. Huff. How do you pronounce it? It's Mr.
Huff.
Huff. Yeah. I made it intentionally vague, Dragon. I made it really what the fuck, where it's like suddenly this guy from Bob's past is showing up as a really crazy off the wall Christmas themed bad guy. Like, how did Mr. Huff go from an ill tempered insurance salesman to an ill tempered Santa elf out for revenge? I don't know.
I gotta tell you, I think you would have won me over a lot more if it was just happened to be Bon Voyage. Again, when you said explosion, I got really excited from like, oh my
Oh,
god, did he do Bon Voyage? But I
no, it's
mean,
Mr. Huff as a supervillain.
I
And
mean,
that's kind of like my John Ratzenberger stand-in. You know, if you can't get John Ratzenberger, get Wallace Shawn.
yeah, again, it sounds funny, Tiki, but I'm also thinking of Huff got his memory erased too, and that whole thing.
Well, maybe he wants revenge.
That's fair.
I don't know, Dragon. What can I say? I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of the point of the gag is that Mr. Huff is just it's very much in the style of the Underminer, obviously,
Oh,
where
sure,
Mr.
sure.
Huff is just kind of randomly showing up out of nowhere, and it's like, what the heck is he doing in a freaking Santa elf getup? Oh my god, this is bizarre. I want to know more. But wait, the credits are happening. It's designed to leave you wanting more. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. And that's it.
All right. Okay. Oh boy, I've been dreading this moment here. Okay.
I
I tell
believe in
you,
you, man.
I'm jealous of a lot of the stuff in yours. On the whole, I'm just going to give you credit where credit's due. There on a lot of your stuff, I'm jealous. Okay, Act Three, folks. Here we go. So Act Three, for me, essentially, this is where all the Christmas sentiment is. If we have all kind of the fun holiday tropes, that's in Act Two, is where all the holiday sentiment comes in. Here's the heart of it all, the kind of the hallmark spirit, if you will. Act Three. Okay, here we go. So of course you'll remember Act Two ended on a down note of like our guys failed. No. So they drop. So again, following that, basically it's like now we're bridging into Christmas Eve. That's the idea. Now it's getting into Christmas Eve. Well, okay, I'm sorry. I've realized again. It's still the week of Christmas. Let's say now it's officially the 23rd. So the point is, it's either it's. I'm working semantics for my Violet thing right now. I don't think she would leave. She would have to leave on the 24th so she could be away for Christmas Day. So I'm just back. Sorry. So semantics, folks, is dawning on me, right? The point is, it's too late. That's the point. The point is it's too late. So Frozen is dropped off. And the parlor men welcome to the door, very somberly, and it's like it's night. That's the idea of it's night, folks. It's why I'm focusing on the days and everything here. So it's night. They walk him to the door, and says, "Sorry, Zone. Sorry we couldn't help." Ah, it's all right, Bob. You've been warning you, but thanks for the ride. So they're walking away. Dash kind of hangs back for a second. He says, Lucius, I got my mom something. She always said to make something from the heart for Christmas when you don't know what to get somebody. Food for thought. Essentially, food for thought. It's kind of what he says to him. Basically, Dash gives him some advice, and we're going to see how that pays off. Lucius entering the door, and he just looks all bummed out, like, "Oh man, I'm going to disappoint my wife, and I'm never going to hear the end of it because she's always yelling at me." So it's the next day. Next day, Bob's hanging stockings. He's hanging Violet's stocking. And he's kind of contemplating for a moment: do I hang Violet's stocking or not? So he just hangs it because he doesn't know what to do. The ornament that he has fixed, he's hanging that up. The idea is Violet. So the idea is Bob's kind of making peace with the Violet thing. So we're in Act 3 now. He's but we still have sad Bob here. So now Bob's made peace with things, but he's sad. So he hears like Jovi. He hears kind of as jolly as Violet can get. Violet's happy on the phone saying, "Oh, can't wait for the trip, boy, oh boy," as she's walking by on the phone. As this happens, is like Bob overhears this. Rick Dicker drops by. Rick Dicker drops by. So Rick drops by for two purposes here. So Rick drops by, one, to give Bob a gift. Like, we don't know exactly what the gift is. He just gave him like a little gift. Like, here you go, Bob. Don't open it till Christmas. And he basically says, I also have a tip on the hoarder if you're interested. I can put another, because I'm jealous of your idea, I could put some of the new kids on, like Void or someone if you're not using. No, Rick, I'll take it. It's fine. So they kind of sit down, have a little chat. Basically, just again to summarize it here. He assuades, basically he's trying, Rick Dicker again, he's assuading Bob's worry and kind of his holiday depression here. He's just saying that, and I'm sorry, just real quick here. Oh yeah, so Bob's also eating holiday cookies out of just to summarize like the holiday birds eating. Tiki, you're coming a little faint. You might want to get closer to the mic.
Is it holiday cookie nom noms?
Yes, holiday cookie num nums. Yes, num num cookie. Oh darn, that's gonna pay off. They're gonna get some more num num cookie. But the Christmas cookies from earlier, like they're both kind of having some cookies, but Bob's eating like a lot of cookies because again, Bob is someone who had a weight problem, so it's like Bob eating around when he gets sad. So let's see. So essentially, Rick Dicker again, who had the look in the Tony Roger, he's just kind of reaffirming that. Come on, Bob. Basically tells me Violet's going away for Christmas. So where's she going? Skiing. Going to a ski lodge with that Reidinger kid's family. Says Reidinger is a good kid. When Jonathan Banks says he's a good kid, like he did in the second one, it's like I believe him. So he basically relates to Bob. Basically, the way he kind of tries to cheer Bob up here is he and I did research for this, by the way, in the New Incredibles comics that they're putting out after the sequel, the ones that are supposed to be in canon. Rick Dicker has a son.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yes, Rick Dicker Jr. Rick Jr.
Can you hear me any better now, Dragon?
Yes, just I guess.
Yeah, because
I'm. Oh, you're better now. I can hear you now. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, because my microphone accidentally unplugged itself. So.
Well, now you're better, so I can hear you.
Yeah,
now.
You were hearing me through my webcam's built-in microphone before, so it makes sense that it was not great. Anyway,
okay. So points. Rick Dicker has a son, Rick Jr. He's pretty full grown. I mean, he's like the idea is he graduated like the academy that Rick Dicker went to. Basically, if Rick Dicker's near retirement. If not Winston Dever, then he has his son who's probably working through the ranks, like in another department, probably. So the point is, he has like a full-grown son. So the point is, he uses this, the fact that he has a son. I don't know, maybe he has other kids. I'm saying the main one, I do know he has a son. So I use this as a point of he's basically relating to Bob at kids growing up here, where he's saying, well, Bob, I'm used to being alone around the holidays. Like, for all I know, I don't know if Rick Dicker, his wife, is alive or not. I don't know. The point is, I would imagine Rick Dicker is going to feel lonely around the holidays regardless. Because I'm thinking of that whole Bounding thing. Like, he would introduce Bounding, he'd just be playing the banjo alone by himself. That Rick Dicker. So the point is, he says, well, Bob, I'm used to being alone around the holidays. But you know what? all that matters is if they check in around the holidays. And Rick Jr. just never missed a call. As long as you got that, no matter how far away they are, it's a Merry Christmas. Essentially, again, I'm kind of summarizing that, folks. Basically, he gives us something really comforting advice there. And then as Rick goes, "Oh, see you around, Bob. I'll call you around New Year's." And as he's leaving, Bob, again, just kind of reflecting on our spouses here, Helen invited E, and now Bob invites Rick, and they're very again, these are kind of the Rick Dicker. They've known each other for years, and Rick's always been a friend of one of the greatest friends of the family.
I gotta tell you, my favorite Incredibles 2 moment, hands down, is probably the whole bit with "It's been an honor serving you fine people."
I know, that's a good moment too. I mean, again, for me, and again, I kind of put it in here. I just love the whole. He says, "I looked into that Ryan jury. He's a good kid." I love him just saying approving of the choice. I don't know. I've always loved that Rick Dicker. Anyway, and of course, I could both Rick Dickers, Jonathan Banks, and of course the wonderful Bud Lucky, who's unfortunately no longer with us. He also did a great turn as the character. Both very different, both really good. Let's see. So. Basically, Bob invites Rick to spend Christmas Day with the family. He says, "Hey, Rick, if you're not doing anything Christmas, you might as well come with us. You're practically family." He says, "You know what, Bob? I might take you up on that. Thanks." And he leaves. A little nice, kind of warm, cuddly Jonathan Banks, folks. So, Violet. Now, importantly, Violet overhears this whole conversation. Big plot point. Violet overhears this conversation. She hears, Bob's concern, but again, unwavering support of his daughter's. She'll basically, Rick, you're right, she'll be fine, all of that stuff. So the point is, Violet, again, she was blissfully unaware of all of this until now. So now Violet knows what her father's going through. That's going to be important. So, let's see. Outside, just kind of transition our scenes a little bit here. Outside, we see, Jack, and Dash playing in the snow, just having a good old time.
Nice.
There's kind of some fun, cutesy stuff. Maybe Jack is levitating some snow and throwing snowballs. As Jack as Dash is creating a bunch, building a snowman real fast.
Maybe we can have an homage to Bambi where they're on the ice together. I don't know.
Maybe because again, they do have a pool. Maybe the pool's got ice.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm just saying I could totally imagine Dash doing some really cool ice skating animation.
That could be good. I like that idea, but I'm just I was thinking maybe he makes a snowman that looks like Knick Knack from the Pixar.
Nice, good.
That's what I was thinking. But anyway, but yeah, it's a good idea too. Basically, one or the other, folks. I'm open to that. So so basically, as we see them out on the outside to see what the other guys are doing. Meanwhile, Bob, he does this adorable thing here, where again, Bob sheepishly, kind of that dad way, where he kind of knocks on the door casually. He says, "Hey, Violet, you in the middle of anything?" She says, "Oh no, Dad, come on in." Like she's reading or something. He enters and he gives her. I figure again, this is Craig T. Nelson as Bob at his most adorable here. It's kind of again, basically, I'm trying to with all this whole Bob and Violet stuff. It was one of my favorite storylines in the Incredibles 2. The whole, you're a super dad. That whole story. Basically, wanted to capture that moment with the third act here with Bob and Violet's story here. So essentially, it says, "Well, I figured since you're not gonna be here Christmas Day, I'd give you your Christmas gift a little early." So what he's done is she opens the gift and he says, "You can open it now. It's fine." She opens it and it's Frozen's old Olympic skis.
Oh my god!
Nice. And the idea, and folks, I swear to God, you can look in the NSA files either on YouTube or on your original Incredibles. They re-released it.
Double disc Incredibles DVD.
Yeah, the double disc one that was released around 2005, or it's on the re-release too, so you can't miss it, folks. It's either the Blu-ray release or the original 2-disc release. On the NSA files, you'll notice there's this hilarious little tidbit where Frozone he wanted to enter the Olympics, but they deemed it was unfair, so they refused him to enter the Olympics. So basically says, wait, these belong to Frozen? And importantly, no, they don't scream Frozen. So again, my own logic, again, I'm trying to skirt the line of secret identity, so Tony Rodinger wouldn't be able to find out that it's the ones he was going to use professional in the Olympics, not the actual transforming disc and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, Frozen, they never allowed him to compete, so he wasn't using him anyway, so I figured, why not? It's poor Frozen. I just want to enter the Olympics. But yeah, it wouldn't have been fair. So it's by the same token, like Bob found a use for Frozen's old skis. So, and anyway, so she basically, with this moment, she sees that her father unwaveringly supports her, knowing what she knows. Like, oh my God, he's going out of his way to do this thing for me, even though it's breaking his heart. Oh my, my wonderful father, and sees that he's going to miss her when she's basically he's absolutely going to miss her around the holiday season, and basically again without directly intending to cause her guilt, she's feeling very guilty. But again, not he didn't intend for that. So before he leaves, he's like an inch away from the door, and she says, "Dad, yes, Violet." She's asking about, well, what did Mr. Dicker want? Basically who stopped by? Oh, it was Rick. Well, what did he want? And basically, he gave us a lead on the hoarder. I'm going to look into a little later on. It says, and basically, Violet, again, she wants to kind of do some father-daughter bonding to kind of balance her kind of conscience out here. Says, maybe we could check out the lead together, huh? A little father-daughter stakeout around the holidays. So, here we go. We're at the father-daughter stakeout. And let's see, we have this, we have like a charity Santa's on the side. There's snow falling. They're drinking cocoa together. Real kind of nice, but they're in the credit card bonding. It's kind of like a two-person scene like Lucius and Bob in the first Incredibles movie, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Violet has this little conversation, and essentially, it gets kind of interrupted at a certain point. But let's, for argument's sake, let's say they get this out of the way before everything goes south, just to kind of get the emotion in there beforehand. Violet has this conversation where essentially, to boil it down here, she's apologetic and she's very vulnerable, saying like, I don't want to go if it upsets you, like I don't want to leave you alone if you don't. Basically, if you don't want me to go, I won't go, Dad. We're being real nice, a real nice scene here, and Bob, very basically, Bob, he's just saying, look, basically gives like this really comforting answer. This is Craig T. Nelson acting at its finest here, where Bob basically says like, hey, it's normally, it's not basically Violet. You shouldn't beat yourself up over wanting some normalcy. I mean, we're superheroes. We're prone to make sacrifices on a day-to-day basis. Is what we do. You shouldn't feel that you have to do that 24/7. We're making new traditions. We're in a new house. That's okay. You're not being around. It's rough, but it's fine. Basically, he's summarizing here. You don't be guilty for don't feel guilty for having your own life. And one second. But here basically kind of ends with something along this lines, like we'll always be here for you. We're your family. There's always New Year's and et cetera, et cetera. Like we'll always be around here for you. It's Christmas. Just call. And anyway, so the conversation is a real nice father-daughter conversation, and essentially it gets interrupted by Violet spotting the hoarder. Again, like basically she's seen the profile, so she knows what the guy looks like. So the hoarder is like walking down the street just very casually. And basically it's like, oh, Dad, and basically like mid-sentence, there he is! So this leads to a funny chase scene in the car. Now, before I go any further, let me just say what I was going to do here.
Okay.
All right. So to keep it simple, the intention was the third act was going to introduce who the hoarder was working with, and it was going to be Patrick Fabian as a bad guy.
Okay.
Again, the point is this would have made the thing way too long, folks. It would have been like Fabian.
Right. Yeah.
I had first of all I had to come up with an. Which, by the way, I really like your idea for the villain because the best thing I could come up with was I knew what kind of villain I wanted to be. I sucked at the name. Initially, I was going to call him like the Profiteer or something, and then I gave him like a highfalutin fancy name. It was going to be called Salvage.
Oh God!
And the gist of it was he was going to be like, because I love
adorable.
It was going to be either Salvage or Salvage, and the point is like he would always have to correct people saying salvage. No, it's Salvage.
I love that.
And the gimmick was Salvage was a guy who, again, the thing I love about Howard Ham was he just wants to maintain his sophisticated life. He always wants just to keep the years running. Howard Hamlin's biggest fear is like shopping at a discount store.
Right.
And the idea here is that I kind of gave some drama to that idea where you'd have a character whose father worked in a salvage yard. He took junk and he basically refurbished it. And young Salvage here, he basically, again, he was like an American guy. He's very kind of true grit, it's a very humble, earnest, a very honest American, lifestyle. And he was a very smart kid. Like he would be able to like make not just art. Like his father would make art. Like he's a junk man essentially. Salvage art. And basically his son would turn junk into either art or more accurately, he would turn into really inventive stuff. Like he'd be kind of an inventor essentially. He'd be able to build, if not gadgets, then like really basically he could build a car out of like parts that wouldn't even go into a car. Point is, he's that smart, and the idea is that he hired the Hoarder to steal from the NSA, and he would resell and profit from the whole villains wanting to be up on the other guy for around supers. And the point is, that's the gist of what I would have done with that whole thing, and it would have boiled down to. That's when I started to realize, okay, this is all set up for Incredibles 3. This is a good villain. I love this villain.
Yeah, right. Of course, that's kind of a challenge that you have with Incredibles pitches in general, is that Incredibles 3 is hopefully an inevitability.
Because again, I love that idea for a villain, because again, that whole you basically a guy doing the arms race of villains trying to the escalation effect of having superheroes in the world, and that would couple with the whole screenslaver idea. All of that's great, but again, it's not really Christmassy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried to summarize it to the Hoarder, and the Hoarder would be like, it was gonna be like Hoarder had like all these death traps at like either a storage warehouse or like a dock with all these giant all these giant bins and everything. Basically, would have like all these death traps of villain death traps, and like Selvage, which then I gave the Hoarder to use like 0-point energy from Syndrome, and use like the screenslaver's hypno beams and everything. I was going to use a whole bunch of stuff, and the gist. And here's why I bring it up. And the last thing I'm going on to one, but here's what it is. Basically, it was the Hoarder was going to represent, like not being able to let go. That's the Hoarder's. That still exists here. The idea that the Hoarder collects things and he stores things away. Like he stole all this stuff from the villains because he has like a collection, because he wants to live in the glory days. So it's what Bob could become if he doesn't let go of his daughter. That's the symbolism I was going for. Again, just kind of basically the Hoarder's just a plot device. That's really what it is. That's fine. Just if you wanted to know about the Hoarder.
That's totally fair, Dragon. I mean, we've kind of talked about this before with Incredibles 2, like Screenslaver himself isn't exactly the best villain in the world, so I think it's fine that the villain isn't necessarily the focal point of yours.
Exactly.
And honestly, with mine, I feel like some of my stuff kind of falls apart. Like, I feel like I have really good ideas, but then again, like, I don't have a lot of connective tissue. I feel like at the very least, your idea has more connective tissue than mine does.
And basically what I knew I was going to do, and what I basically found a different way of doing here, was that I wanted to throw out action sequence, and that's when I started to get into the whole idea of budget and everything. Of like, we have to scale things back. We can't go too explosion heavy on this. And I basically, whatever I wanted to do, I wanted it to be Violet and Bob like having a really heartfelt conversation in the midst of chaos, in the midst of like an action sequence. So I kind of retrofitted that here. So they have their little heart-to-heart and then action sequence. Less disruptive.
Totally works.
Less elaborate and disruptive. So getting back to what actually happened here, it's real quick, by the way. It's like this is getting very close to the ending. So we have this really funny chase in the Incredicar. And you got to remember, Violet can control the Incredicar as much as Bob can because it's voice activated. So they're chasing. There's like, there he is, and it's like Bob punches it. And it's like, yeah, he's going full. He's basically chasing the Hoarder, who's just very casual, just walking down the street, and he realizes, oh my god, I've been spotted. He's running away. And in the Disney Infinity game, he had like a little hover vehicle. So basically, under his coat or something, he has like a little hover vehicle that turns like a mini hover car that he's basically trying. It's like a hover car versus the Incredicar. And basically, it goes like a chase down a few alleyways, and everything's kind of holiday chaos. Like, watch out! Like beeping the horn, and whenever Bob beeps the horn, it plays the Incredible theme.
Nice.
And basically, what happens is, the Incredicar it runs. It's like the Tumbler from the Nolan movies. It can drive on rooftops and everything if you angle it right.
Uh-huh.
And he gets tangled in like either a roof of a house or like of a building somewhere. He gets tangled up in the. And remember, the new Incredicar is all red, folks. It's not the awesome black and blue one, which I love both Incredicars, but the new one's all red to match the new suit. So it looks kind of like Santa's sleigh, and it gets tangled in all these these plastic reindeer and everything on a roof, and Christmas lights and everything. So basically, it's like a cow jumped over the moonshot of the Incredicar looking like Santa's sleigh. as it's chasing after this supervillain, and like kids are going, "Ooh!" So then it lands on the street again with the reindeer and everything. So then Violet saves the day here by using her force fields. Like once they get close enough to the guy, she uses a force field. Like she projects a force field in front of the guy. So basically, it's like he wasn't looking where he's going. He looks forward, then boom, he's like taken off with the hover car. The hover car smashes into a wall, and then the guy's like he's taken out and bubbled simultaneously. So like he's captured, and basically, so Violet has saved the day, and Bob is very proud of it. It's a very father-daughter, like he's so proud of his girl, like he's so proud of her. Again, like father-daughter holiday fun. They had a lot of they had their holiday bonding. So, and off to the side there, we see like the aftermath where it's like it's like Rick Dicker from afar gives like a thumbs up, seeing the father and daughter looking all prideful, like gives a thumbs up to him from across the way, like, kind of communicating with a gesture. You did good, Bob. and this is really nice here too. This is kind of the Better Call Saul payoff here, where Winston's giving the seasonal spiel again, like, "Oh, I'm sure at least the kids got something to see. I mean, did you see that sleigh going over everybody's head? I mean, come on. What says Merry Christmas more than Super's giving chase and saving the day and putting the hoarder away? Am I right, folks?" Something along those lines. So then after he's stepping down there, Dicker, let's say earlier on, he may have given him a guff off screen, like a little loquacious, don't you? And then Dicker, what he's doing now is Dicker kind of walks by, he's looking a little nervous, like, "Oh, boys, he's gonna say I did something wrong again." Basically, he gives Deaver props around the holidays, where he says, "Not bad, Winston, not bad." And he says, "Really? Yeah. Thanks, Rick." He basically, it's a Mean Joe Green coconut smile moment, essentially. And then Rick just kind of walks off and he puts like a candy cane in his mouth. So okay, so here's where it all pays off, folks. It's Christmas morning at the Parr House. Okay, Nat King Cole's very famous, the Christmas song, "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire." Because again, I figure like Guardians of the Galaxy ELO is kind of the house band of Guardians of the Galaxy, so I figured the '60s equivalent for the Incredibles, because we use a Nat King Cole song, Incredibles 2. The '60s house band for the Incredibles is Nat King Cole.
Yeah,
and of course. What Nat King Cole song are we going to use around the holidays than the Christmas song? So basically, this plays as we tie up all of our loose ends here at the end, where Bob makes his entrance as Santa Claus. He literally comes down the chimney and everything, and Jack's very happy. And Bob basically he offers him num num cookie. You're like, "Ho ho ho, num num cookie." And Jack's very happy. He doesn't freak out or turn to again. This is when you please Jack and give him the cookie. Like, he crawls, he waddles over there, and he loves Santa. It's a perfect little experience. Like, Helen's taking a picture. Like, "Aw." Meanwhile, E is and as she's taking a picture, I'm gonna change this on the fly here. Let's say E's taking the picture and everything, and she's all weepy and like, and E's touched, and basically Helen's looking at her like, "Oh, you care, E, you're glad you're here," and basically E writes it off. It's like, "I was just looking at the suit, darling. The suit, look, he completely believes it. Look at him." So Lucius tells Dash in a really nice bit here. He tells Dash that. He got Honey, he got his wife. He took Dash's advice and he got her something from the heart, something intimate. Where basically, as he tells him this, we cut to the little like a flashback of him making the thing, because we're not going to see it for a very funny reason here. Where he basically did permafrost. He made like he took like a couple of glass slides and he made like a snowflake that can never, one of those snowflake jobs. Basically, it's like permanently frosted in there, and he made the necklace material out of like the material of his costume. So literally, Tiki, he made a gift in the form of the famed super suit.
Oh God. Okay.
It's like the thing that she's always yelling at him about. He made a gift for her out of the super suit, essentially, out of the same white material of the super suit. Whatever his eyeglasses, whatever his visor is made of, it's what the necklace is made of, with a little frozen snowflake in the middle of it.
Oh.
And we see him making that, and then we hear and says, "How'd it go over?" And then he points, like he says, "Hey, listen, as we hear Helen and Honey in the kitchen," because again, we're not going to see Honey.
Of course.
Or Honey.
It's funny, for a brief moment, I debated on like, would this be the moment to show Honey? And I was like, nah.
Basically, Honey is in the kitchen. You can hear her saying, "Helen, look at what Lucius gave me.
Oh my god.
Isn't it great?" And then, of course, in like Dash and Frozen, like high five or fist bump or something.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so then let's see again. Around we have Rick Dicker in a Santa hat as Helen's kind of walking out of the kitchen. Rick's in a Santa hat and he's like drinking eggnog and he's telling Helen that Winston said he wanted me to tell you Merry Christmas. He couldn't make it. Says, why couldn't he make it? He's visiting family. And then we cut to the prison where Evelyn's at. Evelyn's in a prison. It's like a between glass visit or something. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And he basically Winston slides a card like a Christmas card, and he says, "Hiya, sis. How's it going?" And basically, it's a very nice little scene where it's like, hey, get the idea is Evelyn, she still loves her brother. It's like, hey, nice to see you, bro. It's like basically the way you wish Chuck and Jimmy would behave now and again. It's kind of the way that Winston
Right,
and Evelyn
right.
are. Like, they're still cordial to each other and they still love each other. It's
Uh-huh.
so. As E plays with little Jack in the background, it's like teasing him with cookies and stuff. Let's see. Oh yes, Helen. Helen gets with her. She basically stretches over and grabs some mistletoe, puts it over Bob's head, and kisses Santa Claus under the mistletoe. And Bob gets a call. And this is the ending, folks. Bob gets a call, and it's Violet on the other end, thanking him. And she's saying, "Thanks for letting me go. Thanks for letting me go, Dad. I'm having a blast here." Says, "Oh, that's great to hear." And literally, Rick Dicker told him would happen is happening. He's gotten a call from her, which again symbolizes for Bob that And she says, "I love you, Dad. Merry Christmas." And that's the ending right there. It's like, "Merry Christmas, Dad."
All right.
That's the ending. And again, I almost went the way you went because I had the biggest decision to make, like a coin flip decision of do I have her decide to stay and bring Tony Reinger along, or do I have her just kind of go on the trip? And I
No,
figured,
I think you made the right choice, Dragon. I think the choice you made was very much the point of growth for Bob as a character. So
exactly, because he wouldn't have learned anything if it just worked out for him, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Well, that's the ending.
All right, so let's see. I guess final thoughts on my end for yours, Dragon. It's funny. I feel like ours kind of complement each other very well because I feel like I probably have the better villain plot. I feel like I probably overall I think you have the better Christmas stuff and you have the better overall action sequences and character beats. But I feel like my stuff is I feel like mine is a little bit more high concept, which always I feel like that always ends up being the case, right? Where yours kind of it plays it a little bit safe, but yours is very much in the same vein of I feel like yours is much in the style of what would actually happen, where mine is kind of like, mine is a fanciful what if. It includes a bunch of dream stunt casting, it includes a very elaborate villain. It includes, of course, the Incredicoaster homage. So Dragon, I feel like I don't know, you should be proud of your third act, I feel like, because it was very much while there wasn't a huge action beat or anything in the villain plot, yeah, it might not be the most memorable villain plot in the world. I think you got the emotions down in the third act really well, and I think you did a very good job, much better than me, of making sure that each character had something to do. And I think that was my problem, Dragon. Like, I even cut out a couple characters, and even still, like, Helen doesn't really have a lot to do in my pitch beyond just, like, kind of playing the mediator in a couple scenes and being, basically the Elastigirl extendable arms get more screen time in my thing than Helen herself does, and that's kind of a problem. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like mine is almost kind of like the villain almost gets too much of a focus. So I feel like Dragon, at the end of the day, I feel like our pitches, I don't necessarily think this is going to go down in history as like one of the best pitches for either of us. I really don't. But I think this was a solid one, and it was a solid penultimate episode. Like I said, I very much think yours is way more down to earth. I like all the, I like all the family dynamic stuff, but I am proud of my villain and I am proud of my Ranger stuff. So, overall, I think I think there's probably more flaws in mine than there are in yours, honestly. There's probably more things that you can probably just poke at. So at the end of the day, I think we have two good pitches. Just it's not. I don't think it's either of our strongest work, so that's totally fine. I feel like we did such a good job on Harley Quinn and the Joker that this pitch almost kind of feels like an afterthought compared to that, at least for me. So but either way, I definitely think this was a worthwhile endeavor.
Right. I let me see. So just kind of summarize my final thoughts on both pitches. I mean, here's the thing, folks. Again, I kind of went the only way I could make any story work here. Where again, I kind of went the Empire Strikes Back. We have the action at the forefront, and we have let things lie the way they lie. As the rest of it goes on. Basically, you get all the kind of the big climax at the beginning. So that's the only way I could break it down because I had so much trouble with that blasted third act. I'm really proud of the first two acts, especially Act One. Act One, I'm most proud of because of that whole action sequence there. And again, I love the world building that kind of Act One opens up. I just really, again, all of that was laid out there. I just wanted to expand upon that world building and pay it off in the third act, but I couldn't without it going too long or taking away from the Christmas of it all. And
but Dragon, here's the thing. I think yours works really well in terms of like all the cool world building stuff is in the first act, and in a way, yours almost kind of like instead of building to a climax, yours almost kind of like dials back as it goes along. And I gotta say, I actually kind of respect that about your pitch.
Yeah. Let's see. So on your side of things, here's the thing. I love Titan. I think your strongest stuff, honestly, was the Incredicoaster stuff. It was Act One and the Incredicoaster stuff. That was strong. I will say, I think you went overboard with the Elastigirl arms. I love that concept and the idea of working the actual toys and everything into the thing. And of course, I love the story point you started with Helen, where again, Helen would be uncomfortable with that, and I think it's a great story. But I just wish that we didn't. The biggest problem I have, I love where he ended the Reidinger stuff with Bile. You put him under the mistletoe, the whole tunnel of love, it's just hanging out with Reidinger and the whole like Reidinger's in on it all. That's all great. But I feel like putting Reidinger in the field like that, the whole like I like that Reidinger felt like he was helping out. And I like that, it's like, maybe you feel like a hero, that whole thing. But I just feel like literally in the third act, when you put him in the fray, it's like, what help is he going to be? It's just, that's the thing. I mean, look, I like Roger. I love all the stuff you did with him, with the exception of that point.
All right, fair enough.
I feel your villain concept was great. I just feel that the Weatherman was great. I love the flawed character. I mean, flawed in the sense that he's a divorcee trying to win his ex back. All of that. And again, I love the just by sheer coincidence it ties into the Lucifer thing, which cracks me up. But I love that. Again, working in magic and the Incredibles in kind of a natural, kind of plausible way with the cube and everything. I probably would have opted for a different shape, but I mean, I'm not against it. It's the whole I'm thinking Cosmic Cube the whole time, but
I said, I kind of went with the naming. I kind of, I just sort of went with what sounded cool, and I went with Forecast Cube. Yeah.
Sure. And again, I just feel like you're plugged the whole back. Honestly, it's Act Two. Your plot in Act Two. The whole basically pulling from the Dark Knight and the Joker. The whole like, hey, he wants to get captured. It really has no point.
Oh, I know, it makes no sense.
That's the thing. I mean that, but again, you have all these. I honestly, I wish there was a little bit more of a Christmas through line because I think I
agree, Dragon. The Christmas through line was what I was kind of struggling with. To me, I almost feel like I made more of just a good standalone Incredibles thing than I did like something that really had the Christmas spirit in it, and I'll fully admit that.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's just honestly boils down to those two main gripes where it's like it's not Christmassy enough, and the other. I mean, you do have Christmas at the very top, and mostly for your ending. Your ending goes really. I like the whole the DevTech pizza thing. In using Pizza Planet, that's great. It works very impromptu Christmas party. I mean, I like that. I love the parade idea. I thought the parade was great, and of course the idea they had like an incident at the Incredicoaster, which later at the ride, which in theory could become the Incredicoaster because that was in universe technically.
Right.
Let's see, it feasibly is it. People make an argument in meta or in universe, whatever. Point I'm getting at is again for the third act when I agonized over, I kept thinking like different basic. Okay, I can't do a mall / department store again. I gotta set it because again, when I was doing like a villain plot, I kept going. Okay, it takes place because I was thinking a warehouse, but God, we've done warehouses so much. And then I was thinking, okay, does it take place during a parade, or does it take place, like again, I was thinking of like at a hospital, like when I was so close to doing like a charity hospital thing. I would have loved that, but again, it added on too much time. So I love that you worked in the parade. You made that work for you at the top, and the whole weatherman thing. So that whole. So yeah, on the whole, there's a lot of things I like in yours. I'm envious in yours. You did take some liberties there. I mean, Huff. It's what it is. It's the thing with Huff. It's inspiring. It's hilarious. I don't know how buyable it is, but
Call me Santa's helper.
That's the thing. Like the whole "call me Santa's helper" thing cracks me up. It's I don't know. It's kind of a hard sell. I love the idea of everything. I love your concept, honestly, for a featuring Krell's movie. That Huff might have some issues there, and you could always go. Imagine if Huff was looming over them with like another lawsuit of like, my memory was what. I like it. Anyway, so again, that's on the whole, actor is a little rough for me, but again, at the end, I think I did the best I could with it, which hopefully cuts the mustard. At the very least, it's fun and hopefully true to The Incredibles. That's the main thing I wanted to be. The pressure I kind of had. I wanted to honor Brad Bird and honor The Incredibles and all the joy that we've had over The Incredibles.
If anything else, I definitely think you had the comedic timing down way better than I did. If anything else.
Well, I tried.
Okay, so Dragon, would you like to open up the very last door of the Advent calendar for this year?
Yes. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, it's a little Christmas Vacation reference there. Yeah, so folks, oh boy, we're going to end strong on this one. We're ending with good old Frasier Creighton.
Now, personally, I'm more of a Cheers guy, and I've never really watched the show Frasier, so this is going to be a new one for me, Dragon.
You know, it's funny. I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Really?
I've watched all of Frasier, and I loved it, but Cheers, I still haven't. It's not that I don't like it. I've yet to get into it, and I just like.
Cheers is an institution, man. Cheers is like we need to do Cheers one of these days.
I mean, that's the thing, man. I love Ted Danson. It's Ted Danson owning a bar.
It's Ted Danson. It's John Ratzenberger. I mean,
I know.
As an all-star cast.
Yeah, I know. Without Cheers, we have no Ratzenberg. I get it. It's just the whole. Frasier Crane is so delightful, and I binged the whole thing on Netflix, and I love it. Even Joshua Thomas had gotten into Frasier. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's everyone.
Well, that's honestly props to Joshua Thomas. Check him out on Just Giggle It. Harley Quinn is the real world.
Shout something else out because this ties into a recent thing that Joshua Thomas is doing. An offshoot of his other podcast, of a podcast that he does called the Your Time Podcast with Josh and Austin.
He's basically going to do kind of like a serial, right?
Essentially, yeah, it's amazing. Oh my God!
I checked it out. Unfortunately, I missed the live stream because I was busy doing the. I think I was doing the DuckTales podcast.
You were about to. Here's what happened. It started, and it either wrapped up or was going while you were doing that. But it was like right before you did that. Anyway, yes, it was. I highly recommend it. It sounds very fascinating. He's bringing back radio, and I love that. Last time we really played with that was Agent Carter, so I'm dazzled.
Honestly, Joshua Thomas is probably the main reason why we looked into Frasier to begin with. I would say. Well,
then again, here's the thing, I bring up the Your Time podcast because he mentioned that he'd been watching Frasier on the Your Time podcast.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and it kind of just led to a conversation, which eventually kind of snowballed into us doing Frasier as the finale. So
it definitely clinched it because again, I was so enamored with Frasier. Frasier has a lot of almost every season. There are 11 seasons of Frasier, by the way. If not 10 out of the 11 have Christmas episodes.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, I picked the best one. Okay, we're starting with, in my opinion, the best one. So
okay.
We'll reveal that when we do the actual thing. So again, Frasier.
Okay, Dragon, you want to go down the line and kind of list off our tropes? I guess I'll do mine and then you can do yours.
Okay.
Because I don't really have that many, if I'm being honest.
Let's see, I have the Christmas parade.
I have the parade, yes. I have the
Hawaii.
Hawaii, yes.
Christmas in Hawaii.
I have Christmas snow. I have kind of the bad weather around Christmas. Of course, the blizzard does kind of cause stress around the last minute Christmas shopping, even though that's kind of in the background. But hey, it's still addressed. So
holiday divorce.
Of course, the Elastigirl extendable arms are my coveted Christmas item. Of course, the Chinese dinner.
Yeah. Of course, Christmas Story.
Christmas lights.
Yeah.
The Christmas party at the end, of course, mistletoe. And honestly, that's about it.
Well, I think you're forgetting a big one.
What?
Santa's Little Helper.
Oh God! Yes, of course.
And of course, like the giant kind of peppermint cannons, the whole candy cannons, if you will. I had the goo ball cannons. You had the candy cannons. So yours sound catchier, but mine are still pretty awesome.
I think yours are more practical.
Yeah, I love those goo balls, man.
All right.
Okay. All right, tropes. So here's what I got. Okay, so I'm trying to go quickly chronologically here. Of course, going to the mall around Christmas, getting old-fashioned kind of a retro department store mall setting. That's kind of the Christmas department store. We saw a department store there. Snow. We definitely had snow. We had Knick Knack the Snowman. We had the big Christmas revelation. The big like uh-oh moment. The cold open uh-oh moment. With the Violet news. Spending Christmas away from the family. There's one. Christmas ski trip along with that. Mistletoe. Got some mistletoe in there. Got let's see. Christmas montage. I got Christmas music with Carol of the Bells and the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. Got Christmas sweaters. Got the personal touch Christmas gift. I'm trying to think if there's anything major here. Father-daughter Christmas story around the holidays. Baby's first Christmas. There's a major one. Baby's first Christmas. That's a big one, and I think that should. I mean, I'm bound to be someone I'm forgetting right now, but someone technically stealing something around Christmas. It's not necessarily stealing Christmas, but
sure.
Christmas. Okay, that's good. Oh, on Christmas lights, you froze on saving the day with Christmas lights. We'll end there on that. Okay, so folks, I mean, my God, looking at all these tropes here. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. I think we had a good time pitching this. Of course, we do a pitch. We love to kind of infuse folks. The reason we do a pitch, quite simply, is because we're enamored with the tropes that we reflect on and go over when we recap our Christmas episodes, which kind of fuels our own creativity and gives us a pitch like we have The Incredibles or with Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the real world. Watch episode 5 now. And I mean, it's such a delightful, inventive process, and hopefully we've honored The Incredibles and kind of reflecting over all of said tropes. But Tiki, I implore you. I mean, imagine if we need something, not a lamp, not a Luxo lamp necessarily in this case. We need to examine an element of Christmas, like it's a little symbol of Christmas, a symbol of holiday bliss, possibly holiday romance. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. We need a symbol. We need not a lamp to shine a light on it, but we need we need something to do something. We need something to do something scientific and kind of find the meaning of Christmas. We need to examine these tropes under something, under like a piece of technology, a piece of science. But I'm running bone dry here, man. It's the penultimate episode. I got nothing. Please, Tiki, will you be a hero? Will you be the hero that we need? Not the one we deserve. Will you be the one we need? Will you save the day, man? Will you be not just a podcaster? Will you be a super podcaster? Will you help us, man? Will you come up with we need that little catchy phrase, like Showtime, like a catchphrase that Mr. Incredible has, but like a little snappy little jingle, like a little something that has like a little ring, a little jingle in the bells, need a little something that rattles around, man. Need something catchy, something something you put on a billboard, something you put on a poster, something you put on a bumper sticker, on the Incredicar maybe. Can you come up with like a little sentiment that summarizes what we do here in like a little seasonal manner? Because I got nothing.
Well, Dragon, in that long-winded soliloquy, I think I came up with something. Putting the mistletoe underneath the microscope next time on Christmas in July.
La 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 la
la la la la la. Par, call me Santa's little helper.